Ladies and gentlemen, yes, this is your favorite show, Sports Unfolded, with your favorite hosts, Eric and Ron.
Hey, welcome to Sports Unfolded 2023 NFL preview show. We are so excited to talk some football tonight. I am your host, Eric. My main man right over there, Ron. How are you?
I am doing quite well, getting ready to set this season on fire already.
You know we're going to be controversial. We are going to say some stuff tonight that will get you off your seat and want to chat with us, because we also have in the house tonight the big dog. Kenny, how are you tonight?
Let's go football.
Let's go. Blue Bob SquarePants, thanks for joining us tonight. Hope you're ready to talk some football as well. We are going to cover all 32 NFL teams. We're going to have some just great football conversation tonight. We're also going to let you know who we got going to the playoffs, how those players are going to finish, and who our NFL 2023-24 champion will be by the end of this show. So stay tuned. We've got about 3 hours of nonstop football for you. We are so excited about this. So hopefully my footballs. Yes, my footballs. I don't know. We are a family-friendly show, and
what a way to start that.
There we go tonight already. So, gentlemen, are you guys ready to talk some NFL football?
Oh, yeah.
So before we get into, obviously, the breakdown of all the teams, let's just talk about last season, how it finished. Kansas City Chiefs defeating, or we could just jump right into but we'll talk real quick about Kansas City Chiefs defeating the Philadelphia Eagles and your thoughts on how Kansas City, once again, got the title, in what Philadelphia did wrong in that Super Bowl, and can either team repeat? Don't have to say it, but can they repeat in your mind?
Of course they can. Anybody can, but I mean, it is very difficult to do it. I mean, look, we know a lot of things can go wrong during a season. Just injuries alone can derail a team, as we saw last season with the Rams, right? I mean, they looked like they were ready to jump out of the gates and try to repeat. But we all know it's not so easy to do, and hasn't been done since when, Eric?
Since the Pats did it, baby.
Right.
That's the way it rolls. So,
right.
Again,
it's not easy.
It's not easy to do. No quarterback that's lost their first Super Bowl matchup has repeated and gone back and won a Super Bowl. Is that a sign for Jalen Hurts? I don't know. But again, we'll talk through some of this stuff tonight. If you are joining us live, please chime in at any given point in time. Ask whatever you want about any particular team. We will definitely talk about it. And we'll be scrolling our social media platforms down on the bottom for you. So if you want to follow Sports Unfolded going forward, because we are one of the, if not the best.
It is the best.
The best sports talk shows you'll ever get. You follow us on all our social media platforms, Sports Unfolded, Rhode Island Broadcasting. We not only talk football, we talk all the major sports. Kenny, can't wait. October's coming around the corner. Our NBA preview show as well. We will be discussing that. Ron, NHL. We cover it all. My man Mickey, if you're out there, we know Major League Baseball. He's been doing all our baseball as well. So excited about what we've got going on all year long with Sports Unfolded. Join us on all our social media platforms. That's all we ask. Like, follow, share, send bits, stars, whatever you can do to support our show. And Ron will let you know later on in the show how you can support and sponsor our show if you'd like to do that. But gentlemen, it is time to talk 2023 NFL season. And we are going to start right off in the NFC West. We are going to go NFC to AFC because we want to cover the Pats towards the end of the show because we've got a lot to say about the New England Patriots. So obviously the 4 teams we're going to cover right now: San Francisco 49ers, the Los Angeles Rams, the Arizona Cardinals, and the Seattle Seahawks. Again, this is an interesting division because, again, you got the Rams, who were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, the worst record after a Super Bowl win in NFL history. The Rams last season at 5-12. This is an interesting nugget there as well. But we are going to start off with those Los Angeles Rams. And let's talk about how they finished last season. They finished 3rd in the NFC West, 5-12 overall. Coached by Sean McVay. He's 67-41 over his career. That's with playoffs. New offensive coordinator, Mike LaFleur, this year. Interesting move there. Raheem Morris, 3rd year with the team. He's their defensive coordinator. This was a shocker to me. Finished 32nd overall in offense last year. Worst in the league in offense. You think about some of the firepower that the Rams have had in the past. That was surprising. Only averaged 280.5 yards per game. 27th passing at 182.8. Tied for 27th in rushing at 97.7. Tied for 26th in points overall at 18.1. 30th in sacks allowed at 59. And 39.3% on 3rd downs, which was 18th in the league. Defensively, little better. James, thanks for joining us. 19th on defense, 341.1 yards allowed, 21 in passing at 226 yards allowed per game, 13th against the rush at 115.1, tied for 21st in points allowed at 22.6. Almost a 4-point difference in what they scored to what they gave up. Kind of see why they only won 5. Tied for 16th in turnover.
Yeah, it takes away the close game factor, like winning by a kick.
Yeah.
They were in those positions too often where they were behind by more than that, and you have to go for a touchdown. That makes a big difference.
Absolutely. Tied for 16th in turnover differential at -1, and tied for at 21 in sacks at 38. And you think about all the defensive superstars they had, it just didn't materialize. No key additions this season. They didn't really add anybody. Again, they went all in and didn't have money to really buy. They lost some guys, though. Leonard Floyd went to Buffalo. Jalen Ramsey, cornerback to the Miami Dolphins, and Bobby Wagner went back home to Seattle. They did have a draft pick in the 2nd round, so we're only covering the 1st and 2nd round picks. No 1st round pick. Steve Avelia, guard center, was their 2nd round pick overall. So, gentlemen, let's talk a little bit about the Rams. What do you got?
Well, I'm actually seeing a rebounding season. Now, granted, this all depends on Cooper Kupp, of course.
Kupp right now injured. They're going to kind of play it week by week, they're saying. So, again, very important to their offense, obviously.
Yeah, without him, they don't go anywhere. I mean, he's going to be the focal point of that offense. I mean, if you don't have Stafford to Kupp, you're not gonna see postseason play. Period.
Yeah, Stetson Bennett, rookie out of Georgia, played pretty well in the preseason. Yeah. They may not want to pay Stafford. They've been talking about, obviously they're kind of locked into him, but maybe moving on or tried to move on from him. If they struggle again, do we see a quarterback change at some point this season?
I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think they're going to struggle.
Yeah, you're kind of high on the Rams.
Yeah.
Kenny,
but again, that all depends on Cooper Kupp. I mean, if he's not going to be there, then mid-season, if they're already out of it, then you will see a change.
Yeah, look, I think they may have to do that. Kenny, your thoughts on the Rams? Do you feel like they can rebound?
No, I got them winning 6 games. Cooper Kupp, 104,140 receiving yards last year. Messed up hamstring. We'll see, but I have them winning 6 games.
James got him possibly as a wild card team. I don't know. Listen, Aaron Donald obviously leads that defense. Can he stay healthy?
Yes. Yes,
there
that's
was
the key
some questions,
questions.
right? There was some questions about his motivation last season, possibly retiring. Threw a little more money at him. So 8-9 wins tops, James thinks. The big losses on defense, when you talk about some of the guys that they lost defensively, especially Ramsey, you're talking about a top, 3 cornerback in the league right now. That may hurt them as well. Kicking game, similar to New England here, believe it or not, gentlemen.
Yep.
Starting 2 rookies. Again, so you talk about the kicking game. We talked about close games, Ron. Could that be a factor as well? Any key injuries here, Kenny, that we maybe didn't mention?
Not really. Just Cooper Cup, hamstring.
Yeah, right. And again, that's week to week.
Yeah.
Ron, some of the rookies possibly that could be an impact on this team.
Yeah, I mean they're gonna be splattered really all over the team as far as playing time. So it's going to be they kind of hope that somebody stands out. But I think again you're looking at a team that really didn't draft many.
Yeah, they're right. They didn't have a lot of draft picks.
So you're really hoping that something strikes there. Look,
Yeah, even the kid they drafted in the second round, on their depth chart isn't starting
right
now. So
you're just hoping that they can learn and get better as the season goes along, and hope that one of them sticks and does the job that you need. But with letting Ramsey go to another team isn't. I don't know if it's really that important in this division, because when you look at the quarterbacks in the division, I mean, Purdy, and what's his face in Seattle? I can't think of his name all of a sudden. My boy.
Your boy. Hold on, gentlemen. We're going with Geno Smith.
Geno Smith, yes. Geno.
Oh, Geno.
And then you don't even have.
And then who knows
Kyler
what's going on in
Murray.
Arizona? Yeah,
you don't even have Kyler Murray in there right now. So look, I'm not sure Ramsey is that huge of a loss in this division.
Yeah, it may not be, but again, having a lockdown corner always does help. I did look at their schedule real quick. A tough stretch to open the season for them as well. At Seattle, so we obviously a division matchup. Then San Francisco at home, at Cincinnati, and then week 5 they play Philadelphia.
Yeah,
there's a chance they're 1-4 by the time the season really gets moving. Yeah, that's a tough stretch. Yeah. Again, Ron's got them bouncing back. I kind of got it with Kenny. I agree, middle of the ground, maybe 6 to 7 wins, maybe that 8 wins. James, I don't know if that's enough to get them into the wild card, but we continue in the NFC West, and let's talk about the Arizona Cardinals, who were 4-13 last season, 4th in the NFC West. Brand new head coach and Jonathan Gannon, new offensive coordinator and Drew Petzing, and defensive coordinator Nick Rallis. So again, completely from top to bottom, brand new head coaching. We know exactly what happened last year in that mess. They are selling out. James, I 100% agree with you on this one.
I agree.
22nd last season in offense. I don't feel they're going to be doing that again, but 323.5 yards per game, 18th in passing at 213.3, 110.2 yards rushing, which was 22nd overall, 21st in scoring at 20 points per game. They gave up 46 sacks last season, which was tied for 23rd, 25th overall in third down conversion at 35.2. Defensively, which is Jonathan Gannon's strength. So think about it, came from Philadelphia, defensive coordinator, maybe on that side of the ball, they see some improvement. 21st overall last season, 348.9 yards given up, 24th passing at 230.3, 14th against the rush at 118.6, 31st in points allowed at 26.4, -5 in the turnover differential, which was tied for 26th, 36 sacks, tied for 23rd. So again, some improvements needed on the defensive side of the ball as well. Again, this team, to James's point, complete sellout, didn't add anybody, lost more bodies than they gained.
Yeah.
You think about, again, DeAndre Hopkins, he's gone. Zach Allen, defensive end, AJ Green, Marcus Golden, JJ Watt. A couple of those guys retired. A couple of guys, Zach Allen to Denver, Marcus Golden to Pittsburgh. They did draft well, though. They got Paris Johnson Jr., the offensive lineman, to possibly be an anchor on that line for years to come. And BJ Ojulari, defensive end, outside linebacker in the second round. But our thoughts on what
those are the two rookies that you have to worry about, right? Those are the guys that should project to get better as the season goes on. And that's what they need. So. They got to build something somewhere.
Yeah. So thought process on what Arizona's doing, where they're headed. Are they looking for the number one pick and possibly the kid out of USC, Talib Williams, I believe his name is?
Yep.
Again, you talk about a kid that very high NFL potential. Is that the route they're going? But then what do they do? Kyler Murray, a lot of money devoted to him as well. So number one pick, if this is where they're trying to head, what are they looking for?
I think this team is literally using a dartboard to decide their future. I truly believe they have no clue. They have no clue. Like, what are you thinking? It's like 1 month you're giving Kyler Murray more money than God, right? And then the next month you're like, okay, so maybe we can trade him. Like, what? What are you doing?
How many times do you see team draft a guy in the first round, number one overall, and then the following year do the same thing, and then trade the guy that they picked up? Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of the MO right now.
Yeah, no, they don't know. They have no clue what they're doing. They haven't had any stability in the last 2 years. No matter what people think, what they're projecting, towards the fan base, they don't know what they're doing. They really don't. This is one of those teams that no matter who they go get, no matter what they do, it doesn't change anything.
I will say this too. Let me just say, I'm not saying Colt McCoy is the greatest quarterback ever. But when you cut Colt McCoy, who's by far probably the best player you have on the team, or the second best player on the team, what are you telling your fans? Because right now they're projected to start Joshua Dobbs. Anybody know what school he went to or what he's done? I have no idea. This is they are just completely ravaged this team to the point. I mean, James Conner, Marquise Brown, Zach Ertz. After that, good luck. They don't have much offensively. And then defensively, Zavon Collins was a draft pick a couple years ago, has some potential, but they've pretty much clean house. And Buda Baker. They've got like 4 or 5 guys on that team that maybe could be an all-pro or at least an all, you know what I mean, make the Pro Bowl. But after that, Matt Prater might be
an NFL team.
Yeah, Matt Prater might be their best player, and he's their kicker.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the outcome if Kyler Murray comes back?
Lots of hits on the quarterback. Run for your life.
Run for your life. Kenny, you had something?
Yeah, it's going to be the same record like last year as this year. The only thing, write this down, James Conner is going to be a pretty good running back.
1 win.
1. Ron's got 1.
James got
2.
You got 1?
I could see 4.
I got 4. I
could see 4.
I got 4.
That was being generous. I was like, well, they have to win 1. They have to win 1.
Listen to this stretch. Week 3, Dallas. Week 4 at San Francisco. Week 5, Cincinnati. They may just quit after week 5 and say, you know what, we're done.
I think they're going to quit after the first game.
Wow, come on.
Wow.
Give him some credit. You don't think Jonathan Gannon's going to have this team fired up and ready to go? How would you like to get that job? And then basically ownership says, listen, we're going to sell it. We're going to give everybody away.
Yeah.
We're not going to even attempt. You're going to look like the worst head coach in the league your first year. because you have zero talent on your team.
No, because like if he gets 2 wins, I'm going to think he's one of the best in the league.
2 wins.
Because it's that bad.
2 wins, James. Jonathan Gannon, head coach of the year. That's where Ron's going with that one. I love it. I love it. All right, Arizona, pretty much a wash here. Done.
Sorry, Arizona fans. It was not. At least now you can go to bed.
I don't think they expect more, though. Do you think there's an Arizona Cardinals fan sitting around right now at home going, if we could get to like 8 wins, like there's not even, I guarantee they're thinking the same thing we're thinking.
Yeah.
I don't know who Joshua Dobbs is.
No, come on. You're giving people too much credit.
Do you really think, if you're a true NFL fan, you realize what the Arizona Cardinals are doing?
Wait. Haven't we seen that fireman guy in New York all those years rooting his team on, thinking that they always had a chance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
look what happened to him. Gone.
Look at him now.
Gone. Not there
this
anymore.
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, now that they actually have a contender.
Yeah, exactly. Doesn't come to the games anymore. He's like, oh,
this is what I'm saying.
Fireman Ed. I think that's
on
what
and on and on all
Ed.
those years, and it didn't get him anywhere, but he still thought his team had a chance.
Okay. All right. We'll see. All right. Let's move on. San Francisco 49ers, 13-4 last season. Number 1 in the NFC West. They were the 1 seed, 2nd seed in the NFC, lost to, obviously, the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. They are coached by Kyle Shanahan, 58-49 overall as their head coach. No offensive coordinator. Kyle Shanahan pretty much is their play caller. And then Steve Wilkes, first year, because DeMarco Ryan went to Houston. So new defensive coordinator in San Francisco. Does that change some of your thought process in there as well? Along with the Nick Bosa holdout, which we will talk about. This team, 5th overall in offense, 365.6 yards per game, 13th passing at 226.8, 8th rushing at 138.8, 6th in points per game at 26.5, 6th in sacks. They didn't give up a lot of sacks, 31 overall. 6th and 3rd down completion or percentage conversion, 45%, almost 50% there. The number 1 defense in the league, giving up 300.6 yards per game last season. 20th against the pass at 222.9. 2nd against the rush at 77.7. Number 1 in points against, only gave up 16.3 points per game. Number 1 in the turnover differential at plus 13. And then they were tied for 10th in sacks at 44. Couple of key additions here. Javon Hargrave, the defensive tackle from Philadelphia, because that's clearly what they needed, is more solid defensive guys. Sam Darnold, which we will kind of talk through the quarterback thing. Key losses here: Jimmy Garoppolo, Azeez Al-Ashir, a linebacker, went to Tennessee, and Mike McGlinchey, the tackle, went to Denver. They did not have no picks in the first 2 rounds, so no additions there when it comes to rookies in the first 2 rounds. Lost in the NFC. James got him going to the divisional championship game again. Your thoughts on the San Francisco 49ers, gentlemen?
Well, I mean, outside of Bosa, which could hurt the team, I mean, you're still looking at a lot of talent on this team. And I know last week I was like, oh, no, they're not going to make the playoffs. But I was looking at this team, and I looked at their schedule. They're going to win. They're going to win the division. And, and I know I'm not supposed to say that because, Eric said to wait. But
no, we're going to talk about who wins the division after each round. But I mean,
yeah, but with San Francisco, I mean, you're still talking McCaffrey. You're still talking Debo. And that's a lot of talent right there.
George Kittle. Brandon Ayuk.
Right.
The best tackle in the game, and Trent Williams.
Yeah.
They've got so much talent. I agree with you, Ron. Listen, this Nick Bosa thing, though, I think will get figured out.
And, they have a lot of guys that are on that defense that, when you look at the numbers just don't pop out at you, right? But they have those guys that are just steady. They're just horses, like Armstead and Warner and Ward, all these guys that they have in their lineup and their defense. It isn't, it's not like a Michael Strahan, it's not like an Aaron Donald, but they got those guys that are just horses, and they complement Bosa so well, and when he's in that lineup, that's a tough defense.
So I'm going to bring it back, and we're going old school now, baby. Okay, we're going to just talk football. But think about some of those guys on the New York Giants.
Right.
And what LT brought to those other guys. Carl
Right.
Banks, very good player, right? But you think about it, having the LT, that makes Carl Banks even better because now teams focus so much on one guy.
Exactly.
And I think that's what Bosa brings. So that's why I think San Francisco is going to realize this real quick, that they can't afford to not get this guy back on the field for them consistently every week. But Kenny, you seem to have an opinion here on San Francisco. I saw that face, man.
Yeah,
a big ball don't hide it.
I'm going 10 wins.
Really?
I'm going 10 wins. If you have a healthy and positive Debo Samuels,
yeah,
it's going to be legit. He's going to run the ball. 750 receiving yards last year. It's going to be more. It's going to be double that.
Double.
It's going to be double that.
Kenny's already started. The controversy has begun here in Sports Unfolded 2023 NFL preview show. I can't believe it. You know what the key here is?
Eric.
Go ahead.
I got him with 12 wins.
Woo, see?
I'll give you, listen, I think they go 13 again. I will say this, though. I will change my pick if two things. Brock Purdy isn't Brock Purdy of the last 8 games of the season.
Right.
Because, again, we don't know what he really is. And I think that's the one downfall with San Francisco. We just don't know. And Christian McCaffrey, yes, last season he looked great. But how many times have we seen Christian McCaffrey on the sideline because of injury?
Yeah.
They are not going to be a successful offense because then you start to key on just Debo. It changes it. Now, if you're putting the ball in Brock Purdy's hands and he's not the same Brock Purdy, that changes the offensive mindset because you can't run the ball because you don't have Christian McCaffrey. This team cannot afford injuries.
If that does happen, Eric, it will go from Purdy good to Purdy bad, right?
Purdy bad. He loves using the Purdy thing.
Oh, yeah.
We give him one every time. Kenny, any key injuries here other than the Nick Bosa holdout, which isn't obviously an injury that maybe you researched?
No, not too much. Not too much.
Seem pretty healthy right now.
Yeah.
Seem pretty healthy right now. Ron, obviously no rookies, but any rookies that maybe you're looking at
San Francisco, no.
How about Jake Moody, the kicker? We don't give kickers. Listen, but it can ultimately, in a close game, affect your season. If they're talking about playoffs and now the competition gets tougher, and you're looking at pretty strong there, Kenny. You hit the strong part of that drink. But I would say that you got to look at the kicking game as well. Shelf life on running backs, 3.1 years. How long does he's been in the league longer than 3.1 years?
Yeah.
But again, still a factor right now. Listen to this stretch at the end of the season, which could affect them ultimately in positioning. Week 12 at Seattle, week 13 at Philadelphia, then back home for Seattle, and then Baltimore week 16. That's a tough stretch. 4 games there where if they're in a playoff battle for positioning, like a 1-2 seed, those 4 weeks right there, gentlemen, could ultimately tell where the San Francisco's finish. I think this team needs to be a 1-2 seed, tops probably the 1 seed, especially with Brock Purdy, because we just don't know.
Yeah.
Ron agrees with me. I love it. Ron, let's talk about your man Gino. We're on to the Seattle Seahawks. 9-8 last season, 2nd in the NFC West, 7th seed overall in the NFC in the playoffs. They lost to San Francisco in the wild card round. Coached by Pete Carroll, obviously been there for umpteen years now. 138, 90, and 1 overall in his career in Seattle. You think about it, that's a lot of games. Shane Waldron is their offensive coordinator. He's been there for 3 years. And Clint Hurt has been their defensive coordinator. He's been with the team 7 years. 13th overall offensively, 351.5 yards per game last season. They were tied for 11th in passing at 231.4, 18th rushing at 120.1, 9th overall in points per game at 23.9, 23rd, tied for 23rd in sacks allowed at 46, and third down conversion 37.8, which was 20th overall. Defensively, still struggling. Pete Carroll, since the Legion of Boom, hasn't been able to figure out this defense and got them back to one of those top echelon defenses. 26th overall, 361.7 yards per game allowed, 13 in passing yards allowed at 211.5, 30th against the rush at 150.2 yards allowed, 25th in points allowed at 23.6, tied for 12th in turnover differential at +2, and tied for 7th in sacks overall with 45. A couple of key additions. Draymond Jones, defensive lineman, came over from Denver. Devin Bush, the linebacker, comes over from Pittsburgh. And obviously they get back their veteran, Bobby Wagner. He returned back from the Rams. They did lose Rashad Penny, the running back. He went to Philadelphia, so some offensive struggles could happen with running the ball. Number 1 draft pick, Devin Weatherspoon, cornerback. Number 1 pick also in the first round, Jackson Smith Najigba, which we thought was a pretty good pick when Ron during the NFL draft party. And second round, they actually had Derek Hall, defensive end, and Zach Kavanaugh, the running back. Boom or bust team. James, I think you could be correct, right? We look at, and I'm going to lead this off with, was Geno Smith legit last season? Like, we've seen so much of Geno Smith for how many years? And he had one good season. They decided to pay him. Could this come back and backfire him? Is Geno Smith a legit quarterback, I guess is my question, gentlemen. Can he lead this team back to the playoffs?
Well, I mean, first of all, I have to say it depends on the Rams. You know, Cooper Kupp is the one that is accountable in all of this, right? If he shows up and he's healthy, and then the Rams can possibly make a run at it. Now, this Seattle team is going to have a lot to say about what happens with the Rams, because I think there's a lot of talent on this team. It's all up and down the lineup. I mean, you're looking at obviously Metcalf and Lockett at your receiver spots, right? And that is going to be a nightmare. And the kid in Jigba he's got talent, and I know a lot of experts that they're predicting that he's not going to be impactful, mostly because of Lockett and Metcalf, right? But I think he's going to be impactful. And I think when it comes crunch time, if Geno Smith can develop any kind of rapport with this kid, I think that spells a lot of trouble for the NFC West. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to cover, the key components in Metcalf and Lockett, right? So if this kid is left, untouched, I mean, he could run all over the field with that ball, and that could spell trouble for a lot of NFC teams. And and then when you throw players on the other side, like you just said, how they just picked up 3 players, one in each level of that defense.
Yeah.
Now, when you improve every part of your defense like that, that's impressive. And then, by the way, you throw on the kid there to learn from these guys. What the heck's his name? The cornerback, Witherspoon, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, now you're putting him in a position to be a complementary piece rather than a focal point. And I mean, he's going to probably be the starter out there, but now he's not the focus, because you have Wagner out there. You have, all these guys that collectively have been able to do that very, very, very well last season, right?
Yeah.
And then you're adding all these components. You're adding 4 players to your defense that should give them a spark. And this team is going to be tough. I mean, I have them missing the playoffs, but if the Rams aren't going to be healthy, then it's going to be Seattle that makes the playoffs in their place.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's just going to be interchanged.
Okay. Kenny, starting cornerback for the Seattle Seahawks. I'm not sure if you looked at their lineup, but one Mr. Michael Jackson. Go ahead. There it is. Come on, Kenny. That was for you, my man. Little MJ on the corner, moonwalking up and down the field. I think they've got some talent. I think offensively they're very stout. I really think they've got DK Metcalf. Again, we know what he is. He's just a physical specimen. You know what I mean? Just a freak when it comes to his body type for a wide receiver with that speed. Tyler Lockett, very quietly, he's always been a very good wide receiver. Yeah. Kenneth Walker III, the running back, I think that's what made Rashad Penny expendable, because you looked at it and what he's able to do. My question again, though, is you're still not answering it, though. Can Geno Smith, is he legitimate enough? Or did we think that, look, we're going to see the old Geno Smith that we've seen for all those years past? Go ahead, Kenny.
First of all, Pete Carroll is probably the 3rd best coach in the league right now. Okay?
Who's the first two?
3rd best coach in the league right now.
First 2 would be? I'm just curious.
Number 1 will be Bill, of course.
Mr. Belichick.
I'm not going to disrespect Bill. Okay.
Okay.
I'm not going to disrespect Bill.
Okay.
Bill O'Brien. What was that?
And then number 2, Bill O'Brien. Yes. Number 2.
Pittsburgh coach. What's his name?
Tomlin.
Mike Tomlin.
Mike
Okay.
Tomlin. Mike Tomlin.
All right. I thought you were going to go a different direction. Stop mentioning your boy from Detroit. I got a little nervous.
I ain't crazy yet. We got 2 more hours.
Got a couple more hours in it. Yeah, let the Detroit sink in.
Not Andy Reid.
Yeah, right.
Andy Reid.
Reid
could be. He could be in the top 5.
Number 4, yeah,
top 5.
Yeah.
All right, Pete Carroll third though.
Pete Carroll.
Harbaugh, I wouldn't give credit. I wouldn't put Harbaugh in my top 5.
No.
Who was the other one, Ron?
Shanahan.
No, too new.
No.
Still not. He hasn't done it long enough yet.
What
I agree with Kenny. Like Carroll's been doing it forever.
The dude from the Giants there. I can't even think of his name.
Daboll?
Yeah.
He's 1 year in. Can I see year 2 before I go? Yeah. Oh, yeah. The great one of the top 5. Come on. Let's be realistic here.
I'm poking the bear, Eric. I'm poking the bear.
Yeah, you're poking something.
All right. So Pete Carroll, very respectful coach. Geno Smith, comeback player of the year last year. Don't forget, comeback player of the year last year.
Okay.
And he led the league in throwing deep balls. Pause. Deep balls. Pause.
Okay.
Deep balls. So he's
family show. Go ahead, I got you, Kenny.
Thank you. So as long as he has weapons to throw to, he's going to be good.
Mickey, you do not have Daboll. Thanks for joining in your top 5. Because if you do, Mickey, Mickey, right now,
Mickey,
pull him off. Just take him out. Can you take him off? Yeah.
I know who you have. Mike McCarthy, Eric.
Mike McCarthy in my top 5. Yes. Geno's going to be the reason they win or the reason they fail. Yeah, that's my point. Geno Smith is that unicorn.
Yeah.
Is he real or is he not? Because again, McCarthy is not in my top 5. That's good. and that's a Dallas fan talking.
Yeah.
He is not in mine either, by the way. I don't even know who I'd put in my top 5. I think I could. You know who I really am starting to like, even though, and it's going to hurt me to say it.
They?
No. I think, again, Jacksonville.
Gray hair guy.
What the hell's it? Why am I drawing a blank right now? But anyway,
Was it Peterson?
Belichick is also not my top. James.
And
you suppose you know football. This guy's off his rocker.
Oh, it's
Mike
it's
Tomlin,
football
number
is
one
the
for
top
Mickey.
country.
Mike Tomlin to you, number one. You put Mike Tomlin ahead of Bill Belichick, Mickey. I am
Mike
shocked.
Tomlin's won so many.
I am shocked right now. This has become the Brady argument, though. How many is Tomlin going to win without Roethlisberger? What has Belichick done since Brady? I told you. See, I knew exactly where this was going to go.
See.
He still got a team to win games that they really shouldn't have. But anyway, and he got a rookie quarterback to the playoffs with Mac Jones. But we all want to forget that.
And it's the same thing. What has Tomlin done since Roethlisberger? Nothing.
This is going to bother me.
Wait, didn't he make the playoffs last year?
No, he just missed. They just lost. No, did they? Or did they lose?
No, they made it.
Round, right? They lost in the wild card to the Kansas City.
They lost the wild card. Kansas City,
Yeah. So I don't know, gentlemen. Great discussion here, though. Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson may be in my.
Said, Peterson.
Did you? I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. There's so much going on the side here. The conversation's going. Yeah. We love football. We are pumped. So excited about this. Real quick, guys. Having fun with y'all. Thank you, Mickey, for joining. Listen to this stretch, gentlemen, for the Seattle Seahawks, though. Week 11, San Francisco at home. Week 12, at Dallas. Week 13, at San Francisco. Week 14, Philadelphia. Who doesn't like the Seattle Seahawks? That would be the NFL schedule makers. Let's put 4 games in a row where all these teams have potential to go to the Super Bowl. Seattle, guess what? You get to play them all in a row. And you got back-to-back. You got bookends with San Francisco. Could ultimately, shore up the division for San Francisco. Very big there. All right. If you're just joining us, go ahead, Kenny.
One more thing about the Seahawks. Jackson Smith getting over wrist surgery. It's going to be a big loss.
Okay. There's our first key injury, brought to you by the big dog. Look at the Giants schedule. We're getting there, Mickey. We're getting there. We're on the NFC South right now. We're going to go to the NFC South. But if you're joining us, follow us on all our social media platforms. That tick is running through the bottom of the screen. There's so many different ways to follow us, share.
Are we picking the division
now? Oh, pick the division. We did forget to do that, didn't we? Good job, my friend. Glad to say. Never mind Seattle. Mickey, he's done with Seattle. Okay, division winner, NFC West, gentlemen. Who do you got, Kenny?
I got San Francisco.
San Francisco winning the division. Ron?
So I have San Francisco winning it.
Here we
going 12-5.
I can't right now, but go ahead.
What?
You're going to give me every scenario possible. Cooper Cup. What this? Go ahead.
So San Francisco going 12-5.
12-5. Oh, he's going to give us each record.
Okay.
I got the Rams coming in second.
Dull Rams.
And I have Seattle coming in third.
Okay.
And it could flip-flop, of course, with Cup. And Arizona with their one lonely win.
Okay. I also have San Francisco, pretty much a clean sweep here. San Francisco to win the division. I think everybody's kind of on that page there. Yeah. Clean sweep. Let's talk NFC South, my friend, and we'll bring those 4 teams up for you. And that would be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the New Orleans Saints, the Atlanta Falcons, and the Carolina Panthers. Now, this was the most interesting division by far in all of football last year. And you say, Ron, give me the look. But all 4 of these teams were technically in the playoff race till the very end. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers winning at 8-9 last year to win the division. So, putrid division. It's putrid with the talent of the teams, but I'm saying the most interesting because any one of these 4 teams can win the division. That's kind of where this division is at. There is not one team that really stands out more than the other. So we obviously will discuss all 4 teams and go through our picks at the end of each division. Baker Mayfield comes back to win the division. He could very well. I think we already know who James is picking to win the division. And we are going to start off with those Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So good job, James. Great segue. 8-9 last year. First in the NFC South, fourth overall in the NFC. Lost to Dallas in the wild card round. They're coached by Todd Bowles, who's 8-10 overall as their coach. That includes that playoff loss. Dave Canales is their offensive coordinator. It's his first year. Byron Leftwich, gone. We forgot all about that. So interesting there. No defensive coordinator. Todd Bowles will be there. Will be calling the plays for the defense this upcoming season. We are going to expect to see these numbers probably change a little bit too. 15th overall on offense last year, 346.7 yards per game. Second in passing at 269.8. 32nd rushing though, 76.9. That obviously has to change. 25th in points at 18.4 points per game. Number one in sacks. They only gave up 22 sacks all season. I think there was some guy there that kind of helped that in the way he got rid of the ball. 21st overall in third down conversions at 37.4. Defensively, they were tied for ninth, giving up 324.3 yards per game. Ninth against the pass at 203.6. 15th against the rush at 120.7. Tied for 13 in points allowed at 21.1. Tied for 20th in turnover differential at -2. And tied for 7th in sacks at 45. Obviously, the key addition, Baker Mayfield. Key losses here, some guy named Tom Brady. He may be pretty good. I think he was. And Shaq Mason, the guard, went over to Houston. So offensive line problems could happen. Draft in the first round, Kalijah Cansey, defensive lineman, and Cody Mock, offensive lineman in the second round. Our thoughts on Tampa Bay. What's going to happen now after the Brady era?
Well,
first of all, I want to say this before you even start. Example given, see New England. Okay, and now go ahead.
Yeah, okay.
It's pretty much what's going to happen to Tampa now.
Look, I mean, if it was any other division, I would probably say, hey, it's time to press the panic button. But after all, it is a crappy division. You won 8-9, in the division last season. And I think that's probably what it's going to take to win the division again this season.
Baker Mayfield, the answer, Kenny, at quarterback?
Yeah. Yes.
I like it too.
Yes.
Okay.
They won't get too far. I got them winning 6 games. I got them winning 6 games, maybe 7. Their running back, Rashad White, he is a top 20 running back. 1,000 runs last year.
1,000 yards.
Yeah, 1,000
he
yards.
He ran 1,000 runs. I mean, that's that man.
Right.
His legs got to be flowing up.
1,000 yards last year. 250 receiving yards last year. And Baker Mayfield, top 10 in passing last year.
Okay. Mike Evans, though, it's an interesting story as well because Mike Evans, he's going to play this season. He said he'll play it out, but basically going to look for other options next season. He's been an injury guy as well. Can he stay fully healthy? Again, that would be an injury because they can't afford to lose him now without Brady. You need that top wide receiver. Chris Godwin still kind of not where he was 2 years ago, so we'll see what that bounce back looks like. Still got some talent on the defensive side of the ball. Shaquille Barrett, Devin White, you know what I mean? They've got Antonio Winfield Jr. They still got some good talent there. Russell Gage, Kenny, big injury. I think he's done for the year.
Yeah, he's done for the year. Yeah, he's done for the year. Yes.
Slot receiver.
Yeah.
That could have some impact. What about the loss of Brian Leftwich? Do we not look at that and say that's not a big deal?
Who? Brian Leftwich? Was his brother there?
Byron Leftwich.
Oh, you said Brian.
No, I said Byron.
Oh, okay.
Byron Leftwich. His law. No, nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Poor Byron Leftwich.
Well, we all know who the quarterback coach was.
Start the season, week 3, Philadelphia at home. Then they got week 8, Buffalo, and then week 11 at San Francisco. A couple of those big games there. But overall, their schedule is pretty consistent. Again, you think about it, they play their division twice. So some opportunities here with Tampa Bay. And again, I think you guys got it. Could I say this? If you're looking at the 4 quarterbacks that are in the division, Baker Mayfield may be the second best quarterback in the division right now.
Yeah.
So that may help them ultimately, repeat as division champs. But
he also could possibly be the last.
Like anybody else in this division. So that's my point. All right. So I love it because we are going to talk now about.
No, wait.
Oh, you got more?
No, the rookies.
Oh, rookies, my friend. Yes, key rookies.
When you think about, what they're trying to accomplish here, they are worried about Evans. And that was abundantly clear when they drafted Palmer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you got to look at that like, well, could he become something? And, well, Tampa Bay feels like he could, so they wouldn't have drafted him otherwise. So that's what they're hoping for. And, frankly, I think Tampa Bay caught a break with Mike Evans saying that he'll play out the season because this gives them time to see what they got.
Yeah, no, it's great.
And I like Kancey as, on that defensive line. I think that's a good pickup. And if they can get production and pressure from him, then you're looking at, Winfield Jr. might be getting some picks out there. So I don't think this team is quite washed up yet.
Okay. Yeah, I think there's still enough talent. I agree with you.
Yeah.
And again, to your point, the division's there's no team that you sit back and go, whoa, cream of the crop.
Right. So because you're looking at the quarterback situation. You got Ritter, you got Young, and Carr.
And that's what I'm saying. It's an interesting and great segue because we're going to talk about those New Orleans Saints, who last season 7-10 overall, 3rd in the NFC South. They are coached by Dennis Allen, 7-10 overall in his career. Obviously, it was his first year last year. Pete Carmichael is their offensive coordinator. He's been with the team for 18 years. This was an interesting defensive coordinator. Nobody picked up on this either. Joe Woods coming over from Cleveland. Now he's going to be New Orleans defensive coordinator. That could be an interesting one. Defensive team, very strong defensive team. He's got some talent on the defensive side of the ball. 19th overall in offense last year, 333.8 yards per game. 16th passing at 217.2. 19th rushing, 116.6. 22nd in points at 19.4. Tied for 13 in sacks with 38 allowed. 3rd down conversions, 40.2, which was 15th overall. Defensively, 5th overall, 314.8 yards allowed. 2nd against the pass at 184.4. 24th against the rush at 130.5. 9th again points allowed at 20.3. 31st in turnover differential. That has to change if this team's going to be successful. -11 last year. Tied for 5th in sacks at 48. Couple of key additions. Derek Carr, obviously the quarterback from Las Vegas, coming over. Jamal Williams, the running back from Detroit. Another big pickup for them. Key losses, though. Caden Ellis, linebacker, went to Atlanta. And David Onyemata, defensive tackle, went to Atlanta. 1st-round draft pick, they picked up Brian Breesy and then Isaiah Foskey, defensive end, in the 2nd round. Gentlemen, thoughts on New Orleans, where they're headed? Can Dennis Allen turn this corner now and make this a playoff contender team again?
I don't think they're even close to being a contender in any way, shape, or form. Look, I don't think they drafted very well. Looking at it right now, I don't see anybody really making an impact that's a rookie on this team.
Yeah, Breesy right now not even scheduled to be their starter on their depth chart.
No, and it goes right down the list, right? And if you don't have an impact player in your rookie class after having the season they did, that's not good. You should have at least one guy that should have been able to crack that starting lineup, right? I mean, you should have had some sort of talent there that you could put in your lineup and say, hey, this is the guy we're going to build around, but you don't really get that right now. So they're a ways away, and I don't think they're going to have a good year at all.
But here's another guy, again, that what if Michael Thomas.
Right.
He can stay healthy and be productive, right? We know the numbers he was able to put up before. Chris Olave, very good wide receiver. We're sleeping on him as well.
Very good wide receiver.
Right? Jamal Williams, that was a good pickup from Detroit. Yeah. If Derek Carr can get on some kind of page with these guys, you still got that jack of all trades, the Swiss Army knife and Taysom Hill.
Right.
I like that pickup. Defensively, Cameron Jordan, again, stout, one of the best defensive linemen in the game. You got Tyrone Matthew, the Honey Badger, back there patrolling. They've got some talent here.
Yes, they do.
Where, again, if everything goes right, Ron, to your point, I think this team is it's like looking in the mirror with Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
If Baker plays well, and you look at some of those pieces on Tampa Bay where like, oh, they could be pretty good. They can win the division. I feel the same way about New Orleans. Like if somebody, and you get Kamara back after 3 weeks of the suspension, that could be important as well.
Yeah, but also when you really start thinking about it, Evans is gone, right?
Yeah.
And how much is he going to play this year? Because he's going to want to stay healthy.
So that might hurt Tampa.
Right.
But then now you could say the same thing about Michael Thomas.
And then
will he play a full season? Will he be, can they get 14 to 16 games out of him?
And it goes
hasn't done it in like the last 3 years.
Yeah, it goes deeper because is Kamara going to get in any more trouble? Is it going to be a lot of the same thing? Can you get Baker Mayfield refocused, on his career?
Derek Carr?
Derek Carr.
I was like, my man jumping back to Tampa. He wants to go to Tampa.
I know. I meant Derek Carr.
There's 4 teams in the division, Ron.
Tampa Bay. But, can he get refocused? Didn't have a very good year last year, and it was a mess in Vegas.
Yeah.
And now is he going to be able to put up the numbers or even half of that as he did 2 years ago? If he can't, this team is in trouble.
Yeah.
And I'm leaning towards that side of it.
Kenny, any key injuries that maybe we haven't mentioned?
No, not really. Not really. Nothing that pops out. I got them winning 8 games. I don't think the Saints are going to go anywhere any faster. The key part of this is they don't make the big plays when they need to as a team.
But then you look at Jameis Winston was that quarterback. Now you go to Derek Carr. Is that an upgrade?
It is.
It's not an upgrade.
No.
It is.
No. Jameis Winston for Derek Carr?
Yeah.
Come on.
No? About the same?
No.
About slightly the same. Better. It's slightly better.
All right. So listen to this stretch to end the season for New Orleans. Week 10 at Minnesota, week 12 at Atlanta. So we're talking about, again, having to play in your division with Atlanta, then Detroit, then Carolina, and then at Tampa Bay. That's 12, 13, 14, and 16. You got 4 division games in 5 weeks.
Yeah.
That's a tough stretch where even if we expect, again, all these teams pretty similar, There's no clear-cut favorite in that, and that could ultimately decide the division in those last couple weeks.
Yeah, so when you look at that schedule, right, you got to think, okay, these teams are all pretty much the same, right? They're all like carbon copies of each other. They're all going through the same struggles.
Isn't that
They
crazy?
all have like that one guy that keeps getting injured that's an all-star, and when you look at all those similarities, then you got to think, okay, so let's look at the schedule. Who are they playing outside of the division? Because you got to think that it's a complete wash inside the division.
Yeah. And that's the funny thing. As James said, putrid division.
Yeah.
But they're so similar that they could all just be knocking each other, 1 week in, 1 week out.
Yep.
That's how this division's probably going to play out.
Yeah.
Really fun. Atlanta Falcons next, gentlemen. 7-10 last year, 4th overall in the NFC South. They are coached by Arthur Smith, 14-20 overall in his career as head coach. Dave Ragone is their offensive coordinator. He's been there for 3 years. And Ryan Nielsen is their first-year defensive coordinator. 24th overall in offense at 318.6 yards per game. 31st passing at 158.8. Think about a passing league. They passed for 158.8 yards per game. But 3rd overall in rushing at 159.9. So you know where their strengths are. 15th overall in points per game at 21.5. 12th in sacks at 37 allowed. 3rd down conversions, 41.8%, which was 10th overall. Defensively, 27th at 362.1 yards given up per game, 25th against the pass at 231.9, 23rd against the rush at 130.2, 23rd against the points allowed at 22.7. So you see a theme there, gentlemen. Tied for 24th, though, in turnover differential at -4. 31st in sacks at 21. So defensively, they really got to get better. Key additions, Jesse Bates III, the safety from Cincinnati, came over. Calais Campbell, defensive lineman from Baltimore. Bud Dupree, the linebacker from Tennessee. So all some good pickups there on defense. But they did lose Rashaan Evans, their linebacker, to free agency, and Marcus Mariota, quarterback, to Philadelphia. First-round draft pick, Bijan Robinson, the running back, and then Matthew. Go ahead, Ron. You got it?
Bergeron,
the god.
Bergeron.
In the 2nd round. So, gentlemen, the Falcons, I don't know. First, I didn't like this draft pick. And you know what? The more I did this, I don't like it even more. Because if you were the 3rd overall in rushing, as a team, was your number 1 pick really important to be a running back?
No.
So the upgrades that they needed to make, I think, should have been more defensively minded. Guys that's going to create sacks, maybe some turnovers, get you there, because you had guys offensively that could do
Weren't
it.
they 12th in scoring?
22nd overall in scoring.
Okay.
Oh, no, wait. 15th. I'm sorry.
Oh, so it was 15th. So, but that's
middle
not
of the ground.
Bad.
Yeah. You're in the middle. There's 32 teams. You're in the top half.
It was horrible.
Yeah, you're in the top half.
Right. So, I mean, to me, I think they wasted a pick. And I know, like, all the experts think that this was a great pick for them. And I'm like, no, it's not a great pick for them, because they needed either to beef up their offensive line, but more importantly, beef up that defensive side of the ball. And to be honest with you, they went out and they got a couple of guys, but it could have been a difference maker if they went defense.
And Kenny, you are a Detroit Lions, whatever we're going to call you. Jeff Okudah, who is absolutely horrible at cornerback. One of the worst cornerbacks. Like, the guy was horrible.
Yeah.
Atlanta picks him up.
Yeah.
That's your answer at cornerback. That's a problem. Bijan Robinson, I'm not saying he's a bad player, and I'm not trying to, disrespect his name. I'm not. but I just felt like there was more necessity. Desmond Ridder, their starting quarterback now. Again, Tyler Heineke, the backup. Pay attention to how quickly that changes.
Taylor.
Right? Drake London, again, was a good pickup for them. Kyle Pitts, our friend there, Jonnu Smith now over in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Cordell Patterson, what he can bring to the table. I just feel like defensively they took a step back. I like the pickups they got, but I thought they could have went a different route. I think that may hurt them in possibly winning this division.
Me too. They don't have an offensive line. They don't have a defensive line. They really have nothing. They really have nothing. They're just doing nothing.
They do have the kid though, Bergeron. Like he's not a bad player. That was a good pickup.
Yeah.
And they did need him. And to have that name.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, would you ever say something bad about a guy named Bergeron?
No,
he can't. He can't do it.
You
can't do it. Anybody want to mention the kicker? No, we're not going to do it. Go ahead, Ron. Koo. Yes, Koo. Very good.
Koo?
Yeah. Young Ho Koo.
Yeah. There's going to be a fan coup in this fan base here if they don't get their heads out of their butts. You know?
I think this is going to be an interesting one because, again, some of those pieces I think were pretty good, but I still think they didn't add enough. Look at this schedule, weeks 12.
What's your opinion?
What's my opinion?
Your opinion? Not opinion.
Oh, Bradley Pinion. Bradley Pinion, their punter. Very good, Ron. I see what you did there. I will say this, weeks 12 through 15, New Orleans, then at the Jets, Tampa Bay, at Carolina. So you look at the division again, there's 3 matchups in 4 weeks in the division. The end of the season for all these division teams, it's going to be brutal because you're going to need to win some of these games. And I think they're going to be just like win one, lose one, win one. And next thing you know, we're going to be right back in the same boat next season talking about how 4 teams could have won the division.
Exactly.
This South is up for grabs. I'm just so confused about this South right here. I don't even know. I don't know.
Yeah. What do you got for wins with them, Kenny? Atlanta.
Yeah. I got them at I got them as 8 wins.
8. So you so far 8. I think New Orleans was 8. What'd you have Tampa at? 8. Right?
Yeah, 8. Yeah.
They were all 8 so far. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This division's crazy.
Yeah.
James, I don't know what you're talking about, man. This division is crazy. Let's talk about the last team in this division. That's the Carolina Panthers. 7-10 last year. Believe it or not, second in the NFC South. And they completely overhauled it. Frank Wright, now the head coach. His first year. Thomas Brown, offensive coordinator. And Ajaro Evero is their defensive coordinator. His first year with the team.
What's his name?
Ejaro.
Okay.
Ejaro Evero.
Mm-hmm. I just wanted to hear you say it again.
Okay. Thank you, buddy. 29th overall in offense at 306.2 yards per game. 29th passing at 176.2. 10th in rushing at 130 yards per game. 20th overall in points at 20.4 points per game scored. 11th in sacks, 36 allowed. 30th overall in third down conversion, 31.7%. 22nd defensively as a team, 350.2 yards allowed. 22nd in passing at 227.5. 18th against the rush at 122.6. 19th in points allowed at 22 points per game. Tied for 24th in turnover differential at -4. And tied for 25th in sacks at 35. Key additions here. Von Bell, safety from Cincinnati. Adam Thielen, wide receiver. Hayden Hurst, tight end from Cincinnati. Couple of key losses. DJ Moore, wide receiver, went to Chicago. And Deontay Foreman, running back, went to Chicago. Number 1 pick overall, Bryce Young. And then number 2, second round, Jonathan Mingo, wide receiver. Our thoughts on Carolina? Do we like what they're building there?
Yes. I do like what they're building. Whether it's going to take effect this year, I mean, look, this is that division, right? It's going to take some time. But what I do like is that this team is probably in the best position of all of them. I like the players. I mean, first of all, it starts at quarterback, right? Now, I'm not expecting miracles from him this season. but I think as time goes on, they're going to be in the best position in this division, and they could start running the table for a few years.
Yeah, Ron, I will say this tell me if I'm wrong. 2 years ago, the New England Patriots drafted a quarterback, 15th overall. We all remember his name, Mac Jones, correct?
Yep.
What was the one thing they did though that year that was different than any other year as well? They put talent around him. You think about all the
right? So they spent money. I was going to say, but
yeah, exactly, right. They spent money. They put talent around him. Think about what this Carolina Panthers team has added for him: Miles Sanders,
right?
DJ Chalk, Adam Thielen, Hayden Hurst. You legitimately gave him 4 weapons offensively.
Yeah.
That could make a difference here. And to your point, this division, as we keep saying, is so wide open. A rookie quarterback could win this division for them.
Yeah, it could.
Right?
That's the team that scares me in this division. I mean, when you look at Tampa Bay and look, I mean, they have some talent there, right? But it's aging, it's talent that could be evaporating from the franchise. When you look at that Carolina team, you're looking at a bunch of players that are going to be there for a while, and I mean, you got Young and you got Mingo. So one's not going to do well without the other, right? So the team is going to go as far as basically those two take you because of that. They're gonna grow together, and that's why I figure this team 2 years from now, it's going to dominate this division.
Yeah, listen, I think that there's a lot of talent on this team, especially you get J.C. Horn back, who was looking like a legitimate cornerback. He got hurt last year.
Matthew.
Right? Yeah, listen, Von Bell, their secondary is very good. Xavier Woods, they've got some good guys. Love their nose tackle name, by the way, Shy Tuttle.
Shy Tuttle.
Right? That means a great name.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So, again, you look at some of the things they have. Here's where I think they may struggle, though. So, weeks 1 and 2, they open right up at Atlanta and then New Orleans. So, 2 division matchups. They've got to split that if they got a shot to win this division. And then weeks 10 through 14, 4 of the 5 games are on the road. And sometimes with young teams, young players, they struggle on the road, right? The crowd, everything. If he's mature enough by week 10 and he feels more comfortable, Bryce Young, that could make a difference with them winning this division. That's what I'm looking at when it comes to the schedule. Anything else I'm missing, gentlemen? Key injuries, some rookies, obviously other than Bryce Young, Ron, that we should be looking at?
Yeah, no, I pointed out Young and Mingo. I think Mingo, I think that's a pretty good running back, and I think he just needs a little time to flourish.
Wide receiver.
What did I say? Running back?
Running back, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Right.
Well, they may run him. Maybe they make him a Deebo Samuel. You never know.
No. But I think he's going to get his chances, and I mean, I'm going to say he's going to get somewhere around 500 yards, and that's a good learning, season for him, right? But I think he's going to keep getting progressively better. And if they can keep Sanders as their running back for a while, if he can stay healthy, and run like he did last season, right?
But Chuba Hubbard,
yeah,
again, he ran pretty well last year for them as well. Yeah. So again, that's your second back, and again now.
So they have a 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
Also,
listen, I like it. Look, I like what they've done.
They put Young in a good spot to be in as a rookie. I think that line is obviously is going to need some work, but they did make, an improvement. I like the beginnings of a line that can, start to do some things now. Next year, if they can add one more piece, if they can go out and get an offensive lineman, that gives you the opportunity to take the division next year. I don't think they can do it this year, but I think they can do it next year.
All right. Can you add something?
Yeah, I got him at 10 wins. I think they can do. I think they can take it this year. Bryce Young is really legit. He can run, he can pass, he can scramble. He's the second coming of Mike Vick, but a teeny bit better.
Wow. Passing. Yeah, I think he's a better passer. I don't know about runner. There's not many runners that were better.
I actually think he's. I think he's better than Michael Vick probably ever was.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting. Gentlemen, who you got winning the division?
I got the Panthers.
Ron?
I got Tampa Bay.
Got Tampa Bay. I'm going with the big dog on this one. I got Carolina as well. I think Carolina put enough talent to win this division. It's all going to depend, obviously, on Bryce Young, but we move on. If you're just joining us live, again, you can follow us on all our social media platforms. This is Sports Unfolded 2023 and live by a few different people out there, so we appreciate that. James, my man, you got Tampa winning it, so 2 for Tampa, 2 for Carolina. Nobody's got Atlanta. Nobody's got New Orleans. All right, gentlemen, let's move on to the NFC North, and we're going to talk about some teams that have made some changes, and then one team that stayed pretty consistent. Obviously, those teams, Green Bay Packers, Minnesota Vikings, the Chicago Bears, and with Kenny's spot, the Detroit Lions. We will give Kenny a lot of love when it comes to talking about Detroit.
I'm sure you will.
You know how we do. Kenny, ever since the Jared Goff thing, you're never going to live it down, my friend. That will live, and it's everywhere. It's out there for the world to see.
Yeah,
it doesn't go away, my friend.
Yeah, it doesn't.
If you haven't seen it, watch last year's preview show.
Wait, was it last year's or the year before?
I think it was 2 years ago, honestly.
2 years.
Yeah, it was 2 years ago. Because last year you looked pretty smart.
Yeah.
Not that you don't always look smart, Kenny.
Yeah, I have my moments, you know.
Let's start off with those Green Bay Packers, 8-9 last year, 3rd overall in the NFC North. They are coached by Matt LaFleur. He is 49-22 in his career as the Packers head coach. Adam Stenovich, 4th year overall as their offensive coordinator, and Joe Barry, their defensive coordinator, 3 years with the team. 17th overall offensively, 337.9 yards, 17th in passing at 213.6, 15th rushing at 124.3, 14th overall in points scored at 21.8, 7th in sacks allowed with 32, 3rd down conversion 39.5, which was 17th overall. They were also 17th defensively, 336.5 yards given up, 6th against the pass at 197, 26th against the rush at 139.5, tied for 17th in points allowed at 21.8, which was exactly how much they scored as well. So that's why they were in so many close games. Tied for 12th in turnover differential at +2, and tied for 27th overall in sacks at 34. Key addition to Various Moore, safety from San Francisco, came over. Key losses, some quarterback named Aaron Rodgers. I think he's pretty good. Went to the New York Jets. Hold on, though. You'll see a theme here. Alan Lazard, wide receiver, went to the New York Jets. Mercedes Lewis thought about going to the Jets, but ended up going to Chicago. They did draft Lucas Von Ness, defensive end, and Luke Musgrave, tight end, first, second round, and Jaden Reed, wide receiver, in the second round. Our thoughts on the Green Bay Packers in this new future now with Jordan Love?
Oof. Well, they also drafted a quarterback. Just keep that in mind.
Okay.
5th rounder, Sean Clifford.
Who's scheduled to be their backup?
Yeah. He may be put to use this year.
Okay.
So
you don't think lightning strikes 3 times?
No.
Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers, who had to sit behind Favre, and now Love, who had to sit behind Rodgers. They can't do it a 3rd time.
And whether or not Love is good or not, he didn't really get a whole lot of love from the organization.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, no, but it's pretty bad what they put around him.
Hey, no wide receivers other than Christian Watson. Again, you think about who was throwing him the ball last year. He started to really come on later in the season, but Romeo Dubs and Samari Tori, I think is their wide receivers. They're 2 and 3. So.
Well, no, I think Reed is going to take that third spot. The rookie, but you're talking about 2 rookie receivers and 2 rookie tight ends on this squad. This is just not good enough.
No.
I mean, you didn't give him anything. I mean, you literally gave him nothing to work with. I mean, you have to at least should have signed, a veteran to put out there. Whether it was, somebody like a Jacoby Myers, even, anybody that could get some catches and move the sticks a little bit, but he has nothing to throw to.
Yeah,
He's
Christian
just
Watson.
rookie.
That's it. Listen, their strength's going to be the running backs, right? Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon. They're going to have to be able to pound the ball.
Yeah, they're gonna
I
have
think
to.
that's going to be important.
But now
Bakhtiari, if he stays healthy, though, he's been hurt a lot the last couple of years. John Runyon, that guy's still around and kicking. So again, they've got
still have to look. You're just everybody's gonna just put 8 men in the box and stop the run. That's what they're gonna do.
Yep.
That's all you need to do.
Yep.
Green Bay is in a bit of a jam here. They'll be lucky if they can get to 5.
Jam.
Lucky.
Oh, jam. Sorry.
You got more than 5 for them, Kenny?
I got him at 7.
7 wins.
I got him at 7. Aaron Jones, 825 rushing yards last year. Not too bad. But that's not
even. What is that?
That's not even nothing.
Changer. That's not a game changer.
Yeah, it's like Ron said that they gave this young kid nothing.
But that's their MO. I keep talking about MOs, but that's their MO. They've done it with Aaron Rodgers. Why do you think he got tired of it?
This is the downfall of the Packers.
But this is like New England. We criticized Bill Belichick for trying to do the same thing, right? Tom Brady wasn't taking a lot of money, but he still didn't pick up guys, right? They try to figure it out. Everybody criticized New England for it and saying he's trying to do the same thing with Mac Jones now, right? Not picking up talent, right? Nobody around. What has Green Bay done? The same exact thing. They do the same thing every year. They draft a defensive guy in the first round. When you sit back and say, hey, they need an offensive guy to help the quarterback.
Yep.
And they did it again this year. And the kid's not even scheduled to be a starter for them. So what did you gain from it? I don't know. But tough stretch at the end of the season. Week 11, they play the Chargers, then at Detroit, then Kansas City, and then at the New York Giants. So
all those but one will be a loss.
Yeah. Which one, Ken? Which one, Ron?
Maybe that Giants game.
Oh, Mickey's still on. You're going to get it. Mickey's still on. Any key injuries, Kenny, that we might have missed with the Green Bay Packers that we should be looking at?
No.
And the rookies, Ron, Luke Musgrave.
It's all on those wide receivers and tight ends.
Luke Musgrave's going to be the guy.
Yeah, he has to be because he looks pretty good, Like I think he's a good pickup, but I don't know if that's going to be enough to keep going to the tight end in this case. Like I said, you're going to put 8 men in the box. You can just have somebody double cover him, and you shut this team down. Period.
No.
Period.
No, Green Bay's going to be one of those teams I think we're going to watch all season.
Yeah,
because you're going to sit back
and battling for that top draft pick.
Did they make the mistake of letting Aaron Rodgers go? All right, let's go on to the Minnesota Vikings. 13-4 last year, first overall in the NFC North, third overall in the NFC. They lost to the New York Giants in the wild card round. We remember that game. That was a really good game. Mm-hmm. Kevin O'Connell is their head coach. His first year with the team last year, 13-5. That's with the one playoff loss. Wes Phillips, their offensive coordinator. He's been with the team 2 years. Interesting name here at defense, which was one of their biggest issues last year. Brian Flores has become their defensive coordinator. Moved over from Pittsburgh and now he's a defensive coordinator again. Could that change some of the thought process when it comes to the Minnesota Vikings and that defense? But let's talk a little bit about that offense, which 7th overall Last season, 361.5 yards per game, sixth passing at 263.8, tied for 27th rushing at 97.7 yards per game, eighth overall in points scored, 24.9, 25th in sacks allowed, 47. They got to show that up. And 41.2% on third down conversion, which was 12th. 31st defensively, gentlemen, not very good. 388.7 yards per game, 31st against the pass at 265.6, 20th against the rush at 123.1, tied for 28th in points allowed at 25.1. Think about that. They gave up more than they actually scored, but they won 13 games. You don't see that very often in the NFL. They were tied for 12th in turnover differential at +2 and tied for 21st in sacks at 38. Key addition, cornerback Byron Murphy Jr. came over from Arizona. Key losses, Dalvin Tomlinson, defensive tackle, went to Cleveland. Eric Kendricks, linebacker, went over to the Chargers. Patrick Peterson, cornerback, went to Pittsburgh. And Adam Thielen, obviously, went to Carolina. Number one pick was Jordan Addison, wide receiver. And in the third round, Mekhi Blackman, cornerback. Thoughts on the Minnesota Vikings?
Yeah, it's like it's a very frustrating team. I know it seems like every year that I'm very high on the Vikings, they stink, and then every year that I think they're going to stink, they end up doing well. So and that basically tells the story of this team, right? It's like Jekyll and Hyde, and it's like you see the talent. And it just never seems to materialize when you need it to.
Yeah, playoffs.
Right, exactly.
But I will say this, I'm going to say something that this might be as controversial as we've ever done on one of these preview shows.
No, I agree with you.
I'm tired of people criticizing Kirk Cousins and saying he's not a legitimate quarterback. If you think about his record overall and what he's done and the wins he's put up, sometimes it's not all his fault. Listen, they lost to the New York Giants. That defense couldn't stop a nosebleed.
Right. And this is what I'm saying. It's like, they finally get a guy that can control the offense, and then they couldn't stop anything, right? And you have to improve that defensively. And what did they do? They went out and got the guy that could change the fortunes of this team. And that's Flores.
Yeah, I like that pickup.
Yeah.
I think, listen, if anybody can at least get it, he was very good defensively with Miami as their head coach.
Yep.
We know what he did in New England as an assistant. Yep. Pittsburgh's defense last year, pretty good. Yep. So, again, if he can get that defense to even be middle, they don't even have to be a number one defense. No. Middle of the ground, they could possibly be in the NFC Championship game this year.
Yeah, because when you look at this team, I mean, you obviously have Jefferson, one of the top 3 receivers in football.
I'd probably put him at number 1. I'd be honest with you.
Right, and you put him wherever you put him in those top 3.
Agreed.
And that's fine, right?
Yep.
And then you go draft the kid Addison. That could be a dangerous receiving core.
And don't sleep on TJ Hawkinson.
I mean, he's a beast.
It's true.
Highest paid tight end in the league. Yep. Covered last week on Sports Unfolded, by the way.
So I don't think Cousins is going to have a problem finding targets.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be one of the best offensive teams in the league.
Their problem's going to be if they can defensively figure it out. If they figure it out defensively, this team is a team to be reckoned with. Yep. Because I think Kirk Cousins, and I'm tired of I'm done not saying he's a legitimate quarterback.
No, I think last year was the year to me that he proved that he can do it.
He's done it in different systems. Think about it. He won with Washington.
Yeah.
They just didn't want to pay him.
Yeah.
Right? And then he goes to Minnesota, he gets that contract, and everybody criticized. He got the first ever all guaranteed contract, but he's legitimately put them in contention every year. They haven't built a defense around him. If they can figure that out, maybe this defensive coordinator, Brian Flores, can do that. To me, I really like what Minnesota is on paper.
Well, you gotta have these guys step up their game. You gotta have them ready and prepared. Um, like I like a lot of these guys on that defense. Asamoah. Hicks. I like Bynum, and there's a lot of guys on this team that has the skills, and I think they just need to put it together.
Yeah.
And I think they got that coach to do it. And I think this team is going to be very dangerous this year.
Me too.
Here's the key, gentlemen. How they start the season. Week 2 at Philadelphia. Week 3, Chargers. Week 5, Kansas City. Week 7, San Francisco. You need to split those 4 games.
Yeah. 2 and 2. Yeah.
Right? If they split those 2 games, I think they win. I think they win 12, 13, 14 games again. That's how I look at it. Because again, I think they can beat the Packers twice.
Yeah.
I think they could split with the Lions. We're going to talk about Chicago and the Lions in a bit, but I think Chicago may be better. But again, that might be a split or 2 wins.
Yeah. And if they could steal that one from San Francisco, I got them at 10 right now. But if they could steal that win from San Francisco, I'm gonna give them 12.
Woo! Oh man, Joe.
Well, wouldn't that be 11?
No, but now he's saying that's the confidence they need to beat somebody else.
Yeah. I know. I just busted on him.
Poor guys. Any key injuries here with the Minnesota Vikings rookies we should be looking at, gentlemen?
Really, no.
Ron, good.
No.
Like I said, it's really all about Addison, how he performs, out there. And I think he's going to be fantastic. I think that's the key rookie for them.
All right. I love it. All right, my friends, let's talk about those Chicago Bears. The Bears. 3-14 last season, 4th in the NFC North. Matt Eberflus, their head coach, 3-14, obviously his first year. Luke Getsy, second year as offensive coordinator, and Alan Williams, he's been with the team for 12 years, defensive coordinator. 28th overall offensively, 307.8 yards per game, 32nd passing, gentlemen, 130.5. That is horrible. There's teams that rush for more than that. But they were the number 1 rushing team in the league at 177.3 yards per game, 23rd in scoring at 19.2, 29th in sacks allowed at 58, and 13th overall in the third down conversions at 40.9. This is where they were surprising. 29th overall defensively. And if you think Chicago, you always think defense. They just couldn't get it together and defensively last year. 375.9 yards per game allowed, 17th against the pass at 218.6, 31st against the rush at 157.3, 32nd in points allowed at 27.2, and 20th in the turnover differential. They were tied for 20th at -2, 32nd in sacks, dead last at 20 sacks on the season. A couple of key additions, though. DJ Moore, wide receiver. Tremaine Edmonds, the linebacker from Buffalo. TJ Edwards, the linebacker from Philadelphia. They did lose David Montgomery to the Detroit Lions, the running back. First overall pick, Darnell Wright, offensive tackle. Second round, they got Jervon Dexter Sr., defensive tackle, and Tyreek Stevenson, the cornerback, in the second round as well. Our thoughts on the Chicago Bears. There's a lot of teams high on this team.
Yeah, I'm one of them, to be honest with you. I like what they've done. I think they got one of the better quarterbacks in the draft, like we've talked about in the past. I think they picked up a lot of talent. I don't know if they did an overall great job on their draft picks themselves, but they tried to fill in a lot of those holes that they had. And I think they did an overall decent job with at least players that are serviceable.
Listen, you talk about defensively, offensively, what they have for weapons. DJ Moore now, he's a top wide receiver.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put him in the top 10, but I'm saying he's a serviceable. He's a top 25 probably wide receiver. Chase Claypool they picked up last year
Yep.
from Pittsburgh. I like that. Darnell Mooney, he's a good wide receiver, and then Cole Kmet.
Yeah.
Cole Kmet is a very good tight end.
Right.
So they've got some talent there. The key for them is going to be Justin Fields. Can you ease him from being a running quarterback to saying, look, run when you need to, figure out how to pass when you need to?
Yeah.
Because that's going to be the difference between this team taking a giant leap or being in the same boat. And I think, to your point, Ron, Justin Fields seems like he has all the talent in the world. But again, you've got to figure it out up here. In between the two ears, can he start to slow it down? Josh Allen, right? Josh Allen, when he first got into the league, it was like, I'm going to just run like crazy.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to sling it if I can. And then once Josh Allen figured out, like, wait a minute, I don't have to run all the time. I can throw it to certain guys and I can make, some plays with my feet when I need to, but not every time. He became a top quality quarterback.
Yeah.
Justin Fields, same thing.
Yeah. Right. And he showed a lot of those flashes last season, but he does tend to want to run a little more than you want him to. And that is look, I mean, he's got a coach to really show him what to do in the NFL, right? And we had this conversation before the show about the ball. Now he's got a lot of skilled professionals in his corner right now, and they're doing a really good job in Chicago. And like I said, I'm looking up and down the roster of those rookies. But even if you put those second-year players in now, you're seeing them all over their roster.
Yeah.
And in those starting positions, right? And if those kids that come in this year, if any of them can make a dent into that lineup, I mean, because sure, none of them defensively are starting, but there's a lot of them that are like that second man up, and if they can flourish, because you don't know what's going to happen until they get into the games, and there's always somebody that steps up. There's usually at least one. If they get 2 or 3, I mean, you're looking at a difference maker, and they already have Wright, starting, on their offensive line, and it always, like, we talk about the offensive line all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They shored up a spot
in
front of Fields.
Yeah, and listen, I like what they did at linebacker. I thought P.J. Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds, those are 2 very good linebackers.
Right.
If you're getting some young, and they're young, where again they're going to be productive. You're not going on, hey, this guy was great for 10 years, and we're hoping he's got another 2-3 good years in him. These guys are still quality linebackers. Right. That helps your defense.
In their youth.
Like I said, I think it's all going to depend on Justin Fields and his maturity and what he grows from and learned from last season.
Yeah, reading plays, what that defense is doing, being able to change things on the fly without putting himself in a position to get hurt. And that's a key with these running quarterbacks, right? I mean, you always worry about when that next hit is coming.
I would say this too: the fact that they kept their offensive coordinator, right? We're not changing the system. Gives him another year now, so he's not worried about trying to learn a new system. That helps,
right?
So Chicago not pulling the plug quick on the the coaching staff and doing some things. That's probably beneficial. You got some thoughts on the Chicago Bears there, Kenny?
It's like what you said. If Justin Fields can stay in that pocket in that offensive line, let him throw, and he can read wherever he's going, they could be a positive team. I got him at 7 wins.
Nice. That's a major improvement. It's more than double what they got last year, Kenny, and I would say that would be a win for them.
Yeah.
That would be a win for them. Interesting during weeks 11, 12, and 14 at Detroit, at Minnesota, and then home for Detroit. If this division is close, you think about those 2 Detroit matchups, that could be the difference maker.
That first Detroit game, I believe that is on Monday Night Football, if I'm not mistaken.
It may be.
Right.
The
Because it's
Lions
on the
Monday.
road in Detroit, and I believe that is Monday Night Football.
All right. I love it. I love it. That's the Bears, my friend.
The Bears.
Bears.
Hey, what time are we at, though? We're at Kenny, the big dog's time right now, because we're going to talk some Detroit Lions.
Detroit.
9-8 overall, second in the NFC North last season. They are coached by future coach of the year, Dan Campbell. Go ahead, Kenny. 12-21-1 in his career as the Detroit Lions head coach.
Wait, what was that record?
12-21-1. Okay. And he won 9 games last year.
So he's not a Hall of Famer.
No, not yet. He's close, though. Big game against KC to set the tone. Yep, Thursday. Valkyrie, thanks for joining us. I will say this, gentlemen. Ben Johnson, the Olympic sprinter, I guess he's their offensive coordinator now. Been there for 5 years. Maybe that's why their offense has struggled sometimes. Aaron Glenn is their defensive coordinator, third year with the team as well. So, Kenny, the improvements, you were right, Jared Goff. 4th overall offensively as a team, 380 yards per game, 8th in passing at 251.8, 11th in rushing at 128.2, 5th in points per game at 26.6, 2nd overall in sacks allowed, gentlemen, 24. So you think about that's a key sometimes when you're not taking losses there on the offensive side of the ball. 40.8% from third down conversion. That was 14th. Here's where they struggled, though. 32nd overall, the worst defense in the league at 392.4 yards given up per game. 30th against the pass at 245.8. 29th against the rush at 146.5. Tied for 28th in points allowed at 25.1. 4th overall in turnover differential, which was +7. And 18th overall in sacks with 39 sacks as a team. That was tied for 18th. Couple of key additions, though. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, safety from Philadelphia. David Montgomery, the running back from Chicago. Marvin Jones Jr., the wide receiver, returns after a stint with Jacksonville. They did lose Jamal Williams, the running back, and DJ Chalk, the wide receiver. One to New Orleans, one to Carolina. Jeremiah Gibbs, their first-round pick. Jack Campbell, linebacker, again in the first round. Sam Laporta, the tight end, and Brian Branch, the defensive back, both of those in the second round.
Is that the door?
La Puerta.
Oh, no, it's La
Puerta.
Not La Puerta.
La Puerta. Kenny, what can you tell us about these Detroit Lions this year?
Their offense is great. If you do not know this, Jared Goff had 17 play action touchdowns last year. 17. Their offense is great, but their defense is freaking terrible. I got them winning 10 games, and that's it. It's a toss-up between the Vikings and the Lions. Every year I pick the Lions.
Not going to do it this year? Listen, C.J. Gardner-Johnson is a beast. That was a great pickup at safety.
Yes.
Because he can play in the box. He can play. He can play outside. You know what I mean? He can do some things. Aiden Hutchinson, last year's #1 draft pick. Again, another stud defensively. I think they're building. What I think is going to happen, though, they've got to figure it out quickly if they're going to have a shot in this division. James got the Lions taking this division, so we already got James's pick, the Lions. Wow. I will say this, though. Jared Goff has impressed me with what he was, the turnaround. But I'm not sold. I'm still on the Kirk Cousins thing where I said I was saying he wasn't legitimate. Now I changed my stance. I'm still saying I don't believe in Jared Goff, though. I am not changing that stance. I want to see it for a few years in a row before I legitimately put this guy and say, look, he can win the division in the NFC North. I will not give them the division because of Jared Goff because I want to see it 2 years in a row consistently.
Well, I kind of tend to agree with that. And I'll even expand on that. I like what they've done picking up players. I like the 3 kids that they drafted. They drafted a whole bunch of players, but 3 of them look like they're going to stick. Jameer Gibbs at running back, Sam Laporta at tight end, and don't forget about Jack Campbell, the linebacker, who is going to start, and he could be a disruptor that they're looking for, but they still need a little more in that defense. But at least they now have a guy in each level that can do the job. That makes a difference. But like you said, Eric, I'm not sold on Goff. And I mean, this could be that last year might have been that 1 year, right? A flash in a pan.
Yeah.
But I'll take it even further. Like I said, is last year the flash in a pan for their head coach?
I'm not sold on Dan Campbell at all.
I just saw way too many mistakes, at coaching.
Yeah.
Last season that cost them some games.
Yeah.
And it cost them the playoffs.
I will say this.
Does that again this season? It's going to be even more glaring because now you have an improved Chicago Bears and an improved Minnesota Vikings. And that's two teams that they now have to contend with, and I think they're heading for a step back.
And I would say this. If we ranked some coaches there, we said top 5 coaches. Dan Campbell, to me, if we had top motivating coaches, he would probably be number 1. The guy can motivate. The guy can speak. He can talk.
Right.
It's making those in-game decisions, Ron. I think you nailed it. He's just not smart, and that's probably not the right word either, but maybe not as savvy as some of the other coaches. And I think that's what's going to hurt them. You think they're going to improve every year? Steady. Okay. Go ahead, Kenny.
Oh, good.
Oh, I thought you had something. Week 1, again, Thursday night. We got 2 days. Believe it or not, 2 days away from NFL kickoff at Kansas City. That already, I think, puts a ton of pressure on them. Only game on. The defending champions. That's going to be pressure alone. Let's see how they respond to that. Yeah. And then week 15, 16, and 17. Listen to this. At Minnesota, then at Dallas, and then home for Minnesota. Yeah. You've got to win one of those Minnesota games, and you can't probably afford to lose to Dallas. Yeah. I think that they don't get out of the division just because at the end of the season, they're going to have it's too tough of a road.
Yeah, it's way too tough. Jameson Williamson suspended for 6 games. That's going to hurt him too.
Was he the gambling? It was the gambling, right? Well, he was the gambling.
Yeah.
Ron's favorite.
Yep.
Ron loves the gamblers. All right, gentlemen, who we got winning this division?
You got to know when to hold them.
Know when to fold them.
All right, I guess I'll go because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of discussion about this one.
Oh, boy.
All right, so here's the problem I have with this division. I have 3 teams going 10-7.
Okay.
So I have Chicago.
Chicago 10 wins. Wow.
I have Detroit, and I have Minnesota, all getting 10 wins.
Okay.
1 win for Green Bay, in case you're keeping score.
All right. 1 win, Green Bay.
All right. So it was tough because I put a big factor.
Is that your second 1-win team, by the way?
Shut up.
Okay.
I just do the numbers.
Okay. All right, buddy. I'm just asking a question.
Just saying.
I mean, we see that quite often. A lot of teams just get 1 win. Okay. The Bears are pretenders. Wow.
So,
James.
Wow.
I came down to looking at one game in particular, and I already mentioned it. That Monday night game. It is, national. Everybody's watching it. Everybody's focused on it. And I said, well, I don't think Goff is equipped to thrive in that kind of an atmosphere. And I think Fields is. He has done it already. And I said, all right, That's one that Chicago steals from Detroit.
Mm.
That game cost Detroit the playoffs. They end up failing going down the stretch and losing to Minnesota twice.
Okay. So you got Minnesota.
So I have Chicago taking the division.
What? Wow.
And I have Minnesota making the wild card.
Okay. All right. I got Minnesota.
Blow your mind.
I got Minnesota winning this division by at least 2 games. Kenny's frozen. No, just speechless.
Okay. All right.
Who do you got, Kenny? Who's winning this?
I got 2 teams at 10 wins apiece. I got the Lions at 10 games, and I got the Minnesota Vikings at 10 games. Now, one needs offense, one needs defense. But you know what? I'm going with the Lions.
Oh, yeah, we knew that was coming.
Going with the Lions.
There was no surprise there.
Going with the Lions.
No surprise.
Going with the Lions.
Going with the Lions and Dan Campbell. All
right. My mind says Vikings. My heart says Lions. I'm going to the Lions.
Oh, never
I
go
feel
with
like
your
singing
heart.
a little R. Kelly right there. My mind's telling me no, but my body's telling me to try Lions. I don't see nothing. Oh, we see something wrong now, R. Kelly.
Hey.
All right, let's move on to the NFC East.
Wait, who was yours?
Minnesota, I said at least by 2 games.
Oh, okay.
Dallas Cowboys. A first team we're going to cover here at the, and I know James is going to be really excited. I know you got a lot to say, James. 4 teams, obviously, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Dallas Cowboys, the New York Giants, and the Washington Commanders. Possibly could be a name change next year. They're already talking about it with the new ownership, bringing back the old name. We look forward to that.
Oh, boy.
Here we go.
go.
Bring it back. The Command. You don't even like the Commanders.
No, I don't.
You hate that name.
I do.
Let's bring it back. Bring it
sounds
back.
too close to Commandant.
No, they're going to bring back the old name.
Generals?
Yes, that's it. Yes. I can't with you right now. All right, let's start off with those Dallas Cowboys.
I was going to say, why can't they just, bring back, a name that...
You ready? You ready to talk the NFC East here? Because James is dying to talk
Before
NFC
I get in
East.
trouble.
NFC Beast, he called big loss of the Marion overshown them boys, though. All right, let's talk about it.
I mean, we don't even really have to talk about this division because it stinks.
All right, 12-5 last year, the Dallas Cowboys. They were second in the NFC East, 5th overall in the NFC in the playoffs. They lost in the second round to the San Francisco 49ers. They are coached by Mike McCarthy, who's 31-22 overall as a head coach for the Dallas Cowboys. Brian Schottenheimer is their new offensive coordinator. This is where I think we're going to see a change with Dallas, even though Mike McCarthy is going to be calling the plays. And defensive coordinator Dan Quinn, his 3rd year with the team. We know what he brings to the defensive side of the ball. They were 11th overall offensively, 354.9 yards per game, 14th passing at 219.8, 9th rushing at 135.2, 4th overall in points at 27.5 points per game, 4th in sacks allowed at 27, so very good when it comes to offensive line. 5th overall in 3rd down conversions, 45.5%, very good on 3rd downs as a team. 12th defensively ranked as a team, 330.2 yards given up per game. 8th overall in passing at 200.9, 22nd in rushing, allowed at 129.3, tied for 5th overall in points, allowed at 20.1, 2nd overall in point turnover differential at +10, and tied for 3rd overall in sacks at 54 sacks as a team. Key additions here: Brandon Cooks, wide receiver, came over from Houston. Stephon Gilmore, cornerback from Indianapolis. Key losses: Ezekiel Elliott, running back, went to New England, and Dalton Schultz, tight end, went to Houston. 1st round draft pick, Mazzie Smith, defensive tackle, and then Luke Schoonamaker. Go ahead, Ron.
Schoonermaker.
Schoonamaker.
Schoonermaker.
Schooner, is that Schooner? I don't have ER. Okay, Schoonmaker. I think it's Schoonmaker, tight end.
Yeah, Schoonmaker.
All right, Schoonmaker, tight end. All right. Brandon Cooks is the speed Cowboys needed, though. Here we go. Get ready, boys, because we're going to get a lot of Cowboys chat now. Obviously, Dak Prescott, this whole scenario, Cooper Rush listed as the second quarterback, as the backup, but Trey Lance as the third. And we know that trade and kind of some of the rumblings that started that. Do we think that the Cowboys are kind of in that influx position where, look, this could either be a really good year for them or things could start to come down to earth and they start to struggle a little bit?
It's going to be more of the same. Look, they'll have a good regular season.
Yep.
You know, and then it's up to the coach.
I think that's Ron finishing right there. Listen, they got some talent, right? And we talk about, look, CD Lamb, Brandon Cooks. I like that. Michael Gallup, very good wide receiver.
Awesome.
I think tight end might be a little bit of a question mark for them. Obviously, defensively, forget it. Micah Parsons, probably the best defensive player in the league right now. Or if not, we talk top three. He's a top three defensive player in the league. Without a doubt.
That secondary is nice, too.
And that secondary now, Stephon Gilmore, you add Stephon, Trayvon Diggs. I mean, very, very good team.
Curse.
Right? They're loaded when it comes to talent. Mm-hmm. Their problem is how the coach perform. And I think this is where Dallas Cowboy fans need to start to come down a little bit from that cloud and say, look, if you had a legitimate head coach, and we talked about some of those top fives, and you guys can hate on Bill Belichick all you want, but you had a Bill Belichick, you had a Mike Tomlin, you had an Andy Reid. Would this team not have won a Super Bowl? I think they would have with all the talent they have. They have one of the best offensive lines when healthy. They just got to stay healthy. They have some of the best offensive talent, defensive talent. What's the problem? I already said Mike McCarthy wasn't in my top. Yeah, you're right. But I'm saying, so realistically, when you're rating them as a team to win the division or to be competitive, you got to consider that may hurt them from ultimately getting to where they want to be, and that's the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and it's preparation, right? And in this case, it's the lack of preparation. Like, there's just too many incidents now where they're blowing it in situations that they should easily take the game, and it's just blown because of just pure stupidity and the lack of knowledge on how to manage a game clock. You know, it is just brutal at times to watch. And it's like, and I'm not even a Dallas fan, and when I watch these things, it's like, what are you doing?
You gotta hold on, pause that for a second, because James got them losing in the Super Bowl due to crappy calls. He's got them going to the Super Bowl.
I don't
That's
have
my call. Okay. Ron, I do want you to pick up a jersey though for the Dallas Cowboys, because I really think you should get that punter jersey. Because I just want to see anger on the back. Because I feel like that would fit you perfectly. That's all I'm asking for.
Yes.
Somebody get this man a Dallas Cowboys jersey. Punter Brian Anger.
You can send it to me at 230 Main Street at the Green on Main.
In Pawtucket, Rhode Island.
In Pawtucket, Rhode Island, 02861.
Send that over. We need to see him in an Anger jersey.
If you send it, I will wear it.
So look, we know that the offensive line, we know what they have as talent. Tough stretch. I could see Ron in the boys shirt. Oh, okay. Coming at you, Ron. James is going to send you one. New York Giants to open the season at New York, then the Jets. Week 5 at San Francisco, week 9 at Philadelphia before they get Philly at home. Those are some tough games there. And listen, we don't know what the Jets are going to be. But to me, this is a split of two of these games, you know, for them to legitimately be contenders. I think this is a very tough division because I think the Commanders are going to be a little bit better as well. I like what they did offensively. We'll talk about that afterwards. obviously we know Philadelphia and what they were able to do and get to the Super Bowl last year. And the New York Giants, look, can they be contenders again? That'll be the question.
Nope.
Will you wear Anga shirt? Weak boys play Pats.
Well, let's not get too carried away.
Wow.
I don't know if I can wear that when the Pats play, but I'll wear it. I'll wear it in other weeks.
It would fit though, Anga. I think that's pretty good.
It would, because wait till we start talking about the Giants.
Any other things, rookies or key injuries, gentlemen, that you might want to talk about with the Dallas Cowboys?
They're not going to have any rookies cracking that starting lineup. It's going to be their guys, right? The boys that they signed on to carry them through are going to be the boys that they live and die with. And unfortunately, because I think their coach is absolutely garbage, they're not going to win a Super Bowl until they change their coach. Look, I think Dak is definitely above average quarterback. Look, he makes mistakes, but isn't that because of the head coach showing him the way? And like, I'm looking at this team personally. If there was almost any other coaching this team, I'd say they're winning the Super Bowl. Any other coach.
Can we not mention the fact that you lose Kellen Moore as your offensive coordinator, and you think about it, they've been one of the top scoring offenses for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
And now you want to replace him with Mike McCarthy, who's going to supposedly change the offense a little bit, but not change the offense. I don't understand that move.
No.
And I think that ultimately hurts the Cowboys more than anything else, because now you're basically saying you're going to become a vanilla offense, which doesn't make sense when you were one of the top offenses in the league.
Yeah.
He's got cracking the top five too.
I was going to say, like, maybe he has a shot at cracking that lineup. Right now he's not the starter, but he does have a chance. Give him some time, and he could do that. But if the offense is broke, don't fix it, right?
True.
Agreed.
So this is what we went through last season, with the Patriots. Even though it was a little different situation, they weren't as potent as the Dallas Cowboys were, right? Why would you have the head coach calling the plays now when he's kind of not prepared them for just, moments in games? Now he's going to not prepare, for the entire game. This could really set the Cowboys back.
Yeah.
And if it's a bad start, like maybe I'm thinking it's going to be, he might not even be there after week 4.
Okay. Interesting. Kenny, how many wins for the Cowboys?
I got him at 8 wins. And
8 wins.
8 wins, and Micah Parsons, Defensive Player of the Year.
Okay, I would agree with that one, without a doubt.
I got 11 for him.
I think it's a gamble, but it could pay off. That's spoken like a true fan, my friend. I'll give you that one, James. We will see. 13 wins over.
13 wins.
Yeah, I got 11. I have 11 for them.
Okay, yeah, I could see that. 11, 12. I think they're in that range. All right, let's talk about the defending NFC champions. That would be the Philadelphia Eagles. They were 14-3 last season. First overall in the NFC East. Number 1 seed in the NFC. Obviously lost to the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. They are coached by Nick Sirianni, 25-13 overall as their head coach. Offensive coordinator Brian Johnson, 3rd season with the team. And then Sean DeSalle, he is in his first year. Remember, they changed both coordinators this year, gentlemen. So that's, again, some big changes coming that could change the outcome of the Philadelphia Eagles as well. 3rd overall in offense at 389.1 yards per game. 9th in passing at 241.5. 5th in rushing overall at 147.6. 3rd in points scored at 28.1. Tied for 20th in sacks at 44 sacks allowed. 3rd down conversions, 45.9. 4th overall in the league. 2nd overall defensively at 301.5 yards given up. Number 1 against the pass, 179.8 yards per game. Tied for 16th in rushing yards allowed at 121.6. Tied for 7th overall in points allowed. That was 20.2 points. Third overall in turnover differential, +8. Number one team's sacks, 70 sacks as a team last season. That's pretty impressive. Key additions: DeAndre Swift, the running back from Detroit; Terrell Edmonds, the safety from Pittsburgh. Key losses: Isaiah Samola, guard. He went to Pittsburgh. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, obviously the safety, went to Detroit. T.J. Edwards, the linebacker, went to Chicago. Number one overall pick for them, Jalen Carter, defensive tackle. And then second round, they picked up Nolan Smith, the linebacker. Say this, the mighty got mightier on the draft picks. I like what they picked up on the draft. Your thoughts on Philadelphia, gentlemen? Are they still the cream of the crop in the NFC?
Yeah, I believe so. Look, I mean, yeah, I know they lost their coordinators, but they didn't lose all that talent. That's for sure.
Got that right.
I think they drew batteries at Santa, by the way.
I'm looking at
batteries.
Yeah. And if they play with that much fire, this team can go back to the you know what.
Mhm.
I mean, look, I think Hurts is the real deal. What he did last year was absolutely amazing, and I think he got robbed of the MVP. I like the replacement for Sanders. I think Swift is a good running back. I mean, you don't need a Barkley in this case, right? And I mean, it would certainly do some wonders. Could you imagine that?
But
AJ Brown, I mean,
they're stacked. Offensively, they're stacked. Yeah. Offensively, they're stacked. And again, you said it. Kenneth Gainwell is their running back. Rashad Penny and DeAndre Swift are their backups. Those guys would start for most teams.
Right.
Devontae Smith, AJ Brown. I mean, those are legitimate. Dallas Goedert. Again, a legitimate tight end. They've got a solid, one of the best offensive lines in the game.
Absolutely.
Defensively, where are they? Where do you give me a guy? Josh Sweat, awesome. Fletcher Cox, awesome. Jordan Davis, awesome.
Littered with great players.
Reddick, awesome. N'Kobe Dean,
awesome.
Right? Darius Slay.
Why isn't he in New England?
Terrell Edmonds, because right. But think about it. They're loaded. You know where their struggle is? They don't have a punter right now listed on their roster. That might be because they don't plan on punting.
Yeah.
I guess
maybe that's what
you save a roster spot, right?
There you go. James, do not say the Eagles have less wins than the Cowboys. He literally is going there, 13-12. James, you're homering it. You're being a homer right now. Don't do it. They have far more talent. Well, you know what though? That might be the equalizer. The coach. I don't think either coach is great. I think he had great coordinators, which are gone. That could affect him. Listen to this stretch, gentlemen. Week 9, Dallas. Week 11 at Kansas City. Week 12, Buffalo. Week 13, San Francisco. Week 14 at Dallas. It's a pretty good stretch. You're going to know who you are at that point. The boys sweep the Eagles. James.
Lord, James. Stop, James. Stop it, James.
James, just let us know. Is it Jack? Is it Henny? What are you drinking, my friend? Maybe you can share a little bit. We'll toast with you because there's no way they sweep the Eagles. No way. Not with that talent. No. Listen, I think the Eagles are the best team in the NFC. I do. It doesn't mean they win it all. They go to the Super Bowl, but I'm just saying they're probably the best team in the NFC.
Yeah.
Very talented team.
I got them winning. I got them winning 12 games. Jalen Hurts, 13 rushing touchdowns last year. Offensive line, number 1 in the league last year.
Yeah. UConn Jack, baby. I knew it. See? I knew. It makes sense now. It kind of fits. The Cowboys win 13, sweep the Eagles. The Jack's talking. We'll give you that one. Okay.
I got them at 13.
Yeah, listen, I think they're 13, 14 wins again. I think they pretty much stay about where they were last season. Again, barring any major catastrophes from an injury standpoint, I think, look, they're loaded.
Yep.
They're loaded. They could go 3 deep at running back. They have 2 of the best wide receivers in the league. They have a one of the top 15 tight ends, top 5 quarterback, possibly. I think
what?
Hurts. Top 5?
What, quarterback?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So again, and then you look defensively, they have no weaknesses. They're the number one. They're one of the top ranked defenses in the league. They were 2nd overall, and they added Jalen Carter,
right,
and Nolan Smith. Right? You added 2 of the top rookies defensively.
Yeah.
Tell me the weakness. Tell me the weakness. Yeah. Any key injuries, Kenny?
None at all. None at all.
Philly rookies, you liked what they got?
And on top of all that, Eric, they're pissed about losing the Super Bowl.
Yeah, could be. Yeah.
They're motivated.
Yeah. Yeah. Just keep that stat in mind, though. No quarterback that lost hasn't gone back. Could it happen again? All right, my friends. Let's talk some Washington Commanders. 8-8 and 1 last year. 4th overall in the NFC East. Coached by Ron Rivera. I think he's probably the biggest coach on the hot seat right now. 22-28 and 1 as a coach with the Commanders. Here's where they got better. Eric Bieniemy is their offensive coordinator. I love this move. I think they needed to make this move.
Me too.
Jack Del Rio is their defensive coordinator. He's been with them now for 4 years. 20th overall offensively. I expect these numbers, they get mid again. I'm not saying that I think it changes the culture.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they needed in Washington. 20th overall offensively, 330.3 yards per game, 204.2 yards passing per game, which was 21st. 12th overall rushing at 126.1. 24th in points per game. I expect this number to go up. 18.9. 26th overall in sacks at 48. 26th in third down percentage at 35.2. So obviously I expect some offensive improvement there. Defensively, 3rd overall, 304.6 yards per game, 4th against the pass at 191.3, 11th against the rush at 113.3, tied for 7th in points allowed at 20.2, 26th in turnover differential at -5, 12th in sacks overall as a team, 43rd. Key addition, Abdullah Anderson, defensive end from Atlanta. They did lose Bobby McCain, the safety, to the Giants, and Tyler Heineke went to Atlanta. Number 1 pick, Taylor Heineke, I'm sorry. Number 1 draft pick was Emmanuel Forbes, cornerback, and Jatavius Martin, defensive back. So they went defensive backs with their first 2 picks overall. Sam Howell named the starting quarterback. Is that important for the Washington Commanders? How far does that go?
It's an improvement, I think. I think he is better than Heineke. But the team seemed to rally around Heineke. We got to wait and see. They have one of the better receivers in the game. So, preseason is one thing. So, this is a team that you have to wait and see. And if Rivera is on the hot seat, he might be gone mid-season.
Yeah, you got everybody getting fired by week 4. You've got people getting fired. So, that anger. See, I told you guys, get him the jersey. Mm-hmm. I will say this, though. If you look receiver-wise, I think they've got a very good receiving core. Can Sam Howell be their quarterback? Because, you know what I mean? Brian Robinson Jr., he's the kid that got shot, right? So the nice story there. See if he can have a nice season this year. I like some of the pieces. The key here is, you want to know what the key for them is? Chase Young.
Yeah.
Defensive end. The kid was a monster his rookie year. You're like, look at what they've got defensively. This kid's going to create turnovers, get sacks, can't stay healthy. And there's even questions he's not going to be able to start the season this year.
Yeah.
They need him because he's that disruptor. He's like the Myles Garrett, those kind of guys on that defensive line that are just guys you can't contain. without him, I don't think they get very far because they can be very good defensively, but they need those turnovers. If you're, you know what I mean? If you're going to be a -5 and the turnover differential, you need a guy that's going to be able to get you on the positive side of the ball. And that would be him.
And I know they're thinking here because you have Young, putting on that pressure. So they went out and took care of things, in their defensive backs. Getting Forbes, especially, he's going to end up starting, and they're trying to create some turnovers here. And so you put the pressure on the quarterback, and then that results into interceptions in the 20 to 30 yards downfield, and that's what they're going to try to key on, is turning that ball over to get those stops, in the passing game, and that's their focus. But I think they're going to need at least another guy in that mid level, a solid linebacker that is going to just stuff some potential big plays. I think they're going to still give up a lot of those big plays because of that. When somebody gets into that middle of the field, I don't know if they're equipped to stop that. And so I still think that they're another defensive player away from really, really taking the turn. And that's going to be tough when you're dealing with Hurts and Dak out there. That's tough because they can chew you up.
Yeah.
And if they can't stop that, you're going to be hurting.
Yeah. Kenny?
I got him at 7 wins. I like this team. New ownership.
Yeah.
I like
it. Mention that. Great call.
I like it, but it doesn't really wow me.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of wow. Yeah.
They don't have a lot of wow. Antonio Gibson, great running back. Once you get your own that corner, he's pretty fast and he can go. But other than that,
yeah.
Well,
and we don't know what Sam Howell is.
Exactly.
Right. So that's
7 wins.
You have McLaurin, and I think that is going to help because he's a really, really top-notch receiver.
Yeah. Samuel, if he stays healthy
lately, without that superstar quarterback.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. The end of the season for this team be very tough too. So let's say they're in it week 15 at the Jets, then week 16 San Francisco, week 17 Dallas.
Right.
So those
they're close. They're not going to go over the top.
That might be the deciding factor. A couple, maybe 3 losses in there.
Yeah.
Any key injuries, Kenny, or rookies that you wanted to talk about, Ron?
Yeah, it was just about Forbes, which I had already mentioned.
Yeah.
He's the guy that they're really giving the shot to. He's going to be starting back there, and they're hoping that he can be a ball hawk, really.
Awesome. Kenny? No key injuries? All right, gentlemen. Let's see how many people Ron pisses off now because we're going to talk about the New York Giants. 9-7-1 last year, 3rd overall in the NFC East, 6th seed in the NFC. They lost to Philadelphia in the 2nd round. They are coached by Brian Daboll, 10-8-1 last year. Obviously, the playoff win and loss. Mike Kafka is their offensive coordinator in his 2nd year, and Don Martindale in his 2nd year as their defensive coordinator. They were 18th overall in offense, 333.9 yards per game, 26th passing at 185.7, 4th in rushing at 148.2 yards per game, tied for 15th in points per game at 21.5, 27th in sacks at 49 allowed, 3rd down conversions, 36.8, which was 22nd overall. Tough schedule. 25th in defense, 358.2 yards per game given up. 14th against the pass at 214 yards. 27th against the rush, 144.2. Tied for 17th overall in points allowed at 21.8. 11th in the turnover differential, which was +3, and then 13th overall in sacks as a team with 41. They did add Darren Waller, tight end from Las Vegas, and Jamison Crowder, wide receiver from the New York Jets. They did lose Julian Love, cornerback, to Seattle, and Jalen Smith, the linebacker, to New Orleans. Number 1 pick, Deontay Banks, cornerback. And second round, they grabbed John Michael Schmidt Jr., the center. Ron, go ahead, piss some people off.
Look, first of all, they should not have even been as good as they were last year. I'm sorry. It began and ended with Barkley. He was the guy. It wasn't because Jones was just so good. Yeah, so good getting those 150 yards every week. What is that going to do? What is that going to do? It's not going to get you anything. You're never going to win a Super Bowl getting 150 yards, And it's like then their bright spot was their defense, right? And what do? They lose.
Kenny's throwing a flag on the play, by the way.
They lose some guys off that defense, and they replace them. And what if they're not going to be as good defensively? I don't think they're going to be as good. I just think it's a disaster waiting to happen with Daniel Jones. You gave him that massive contract for a Daniel Jones type anyway. Like you overpaid for him.
So I'm going to ask you this question, Ron, because we sit here and you're criticizing Daniel Jones. Okay, if I tell you Darius Slayton, Isaiah Hodgins, and Paris Campbell is his wide receivers, is it really Daniel Jones' fault that they got wide receivers that can't legitimately get open? Yet he can still use his legs. Now you give him Darren Waller. If Darren Waller decides he's going to play and stay healthy, he's legit.
Yeah, if he decides that.
Right? So now you add him and Barkley with the running of Daniel Jones. That's an offense now that's starting to come together. They're okay offensive line. Evan Neal, we know he had some struggles, but I think he's going to learn from it. He's solid at the one of the tackle positions. And then you're sleeping on Leonard Williams on the defensive side. Kayvon Thibodeau, I think, is legitimately going to be even better this season with the year now. I think he's double-digit sacks. He's a double-digit sacks guy. So I think that, look, I don't think that, again, tough schedule, especially to open Dallas, then week 3 at San Francisco, week 6 at Buffalo. Those right there, again, if you get 3 losses, you're 3-3, you're kind of struggling from there, and you're treading water. If they can win a couple of those games, this team can win 10 games again.
No, I don't think they can. I just don't. I don't think with the improvements of Washington, for one, that they can get that 10 wins, because now, you're looking at some of these games that they were winning last season against bad teams. They're going to have to play better teams now.
Yeah.
And, and when you look at their schedule, I mean, that's not easy. And I don't see them beating teams like Buffalo. I can't see it. I can't see it. Mostly because there's so much written down over here. I just can't see it.
And I would say this, though. Brian Daboll knows Buffalo.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, he does.
That's a difference maker.
Yes.
He does.
Yes.
Dallas, would you take Daboll over Mike McCarthy?
Yeah.
From a coaching standpoint. Okay.
Yep.
So now you got a coaching. Ron Rivera.
Yep.
Nick Sirianni.
I like Ron.
I don't know about
over
that.
Daboll?
Yeah, I think I would still go with
Sirianni, but it's a kind of a straight. So again, we talk about good coaching, which I think Daboll can do.
Right.
I think he gets more out of the group of guys he has, even if they're not as talented.
Right.
And I think he's made Daniel Jones into a formidable quarterback that you have
but I don't think he can. I think he's already peaked. I think that's the peak. And if he's peaked, then they can't get any better, in wins. They can't get any better, and they have a harder schedule. So I think they go backwards. And I'm sorry. I just don't see it. I just don't see it.
Okay. All right. Listen, let's talk winner of the division. Who do you got?
All right.
Go ahead. Go, Kenny. Kenny, go ahead. Kenny had his pen. Kenny had the pen up.
I got him at 9 wins. I tell you right now.
Oh, the Giants. We're still on the Giants.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I got him at 9 wins. And if they can use that kid, Jalen Hyatt, as a wide receiver, maybe 10 wins. Maybe 10 wins.
All right.
Look out for that kid. He's good.
So who do you got winning the division? I'll go first. I got Philadelphia. I still think Philadelphia is the best team in the division. I picked Philadelphia.
I got Philly also.
Philly?
I have Philly with Dallas right behind them.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a little closer this year.
I got 3 teams out of this division playoffs again.
Not me.
I know you wouldn't. I know you won't. Just saying. All right, gentlemen, that is the NFC.
Woohoo!
2.5 hours in. We are in trouble. We are moving on to our AFC West. We are moving on to the AFC. Great conversation about the NFC. We will give you our playoff teams and the results at the end of the show. And who's going to win the Super Bowl? Who's going to be the Super Bowl champs this year? All right, my friend. We are on to the AFC East.
Yeah, we better pick up the pace a little if we're going to make it today.
Yeah, right?
All right, my friend. Let's start with this Kansas City Chiefs, 14-3, number 1 seed in the AFC. We're going to bring those teams up. With the Raiders, Chargers, and Broncos also in this division. Kansas City, number 1 seed overall in the AFC. They did win Super Bowl 57, defeating the Philadelphia Eagles. Coached by Andy Reid. We know what he's been, 129-52 overall. Matt Nagy takes over as the offensive coordinator. He's been with the team 7 years. Remember, former Bears coach, and Steve Spagnuolo, defensive coordinator. They had the number 1 offense overall, 413.6 yards per game. Number 1 in passing at 297.8. 20th rushing, 115.9. Number 1 in points per game, 29.2. 3rd overall in sacks allowed at 26. And 2nd overall in third down conversion at 48.7. Pretty impressive. But then you say, okay, well, defensively, you know what? It's still pretty good. 11th overall, 328.2 yards per game, 18th against the pass at 220.9, 7th against the rush at 107.2, 16th in points allowed at 21.7, tied for 22nd in turnover differential at -3, 2nd overall in the league in sacks at 55. So the top 2 sacking teams made it to the Super Bowl. Think about that, gentlemen. Key additions, Jawan Taylor, tackle from Jacksonville. Drew Tranquill, linebacker from the Chargers. They did lose Juju Smith-Schuster, wide receiver to New England. Orlando Brown Jr., the tackle to Cincinnati. Frank Clark, defensive end to Denver. They picked up in their first round Felix Anudike Azuma, defensive end, and Rashee Rice, wide receiver in the 2nd round. Guess the question would be, gentlemen, can the Kansas City Chiefs repeat?
I don't think they can. I think they can get close. I mean, just on the talent level of Mahomes himself. But, you know, it is too difficult to repeat. You have everybody gunning for you. And when you start losing some of the players that get you there, and it makes it a little difficult.
Yeah. Listen, they still questions at running back, right? Pacheco, he's okay. I don't know if that helps. McKinnon. Again, you start to look at their wide receiver core now. Marquez Scantling, Kadarius Toney, who's usually injured. Sky Moore didn't really produce like they expected him to last year.
Yeah.
We do have a starting 5 all-time tight end in Travis Kelce, maybe number 1 overall. If you watched last week's Sports Unfolded show.
No.
But I will say this too. There's some questions on the offensive line, right? They're not as good, but again, they don't give up a lot of sacks because Patrick Mahomes just gets rid of the ball, knows what to do with it. And you saw that with all the top teams, Tampa Bay, Tom Brady, right? Like all these top teams, it was their quarterback knows how to get rid of the ball. So that's going to be interesting. And then we're not talking about Chris Jones in the holdout. He's by far the best defensive player on that team, If he's not going to be there, that knocks your defense down a notch where now you're trying to score more, which ultimately creates more turnovers.
That
which
takes
could hurt
away
you.
all that pressure up the middle, right?
Yeah. So that's key. 3-week stretch there where week 11, Philadelphia, week 14, Buffalo, and week 17, Cincinnati. So again, towards the end of the year, when you really want to be, at the peak, that's going to be key for them as well.
Yeah, but I also look at it this way. See, like the holdout, it doesn't affect their difficult schedule.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, like I know they have the Lions, right? But it isn't like you're gonna play those teams like in your own conference that are the top teams. So you don't have to worry about going out there and playing Cincinnati in week 1.
Yeah.
Or Buffalo and get beat up because you don't have your top defensive guy there.
Yeah, I think the key would be seeding.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you don't want to lose those two games because those two teams will probably be what I mean, 1, 2, 3, somewhere in that realm of seeding wise, where now you're talking home field throughout the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's where it could hurt them. Listen, at the same time, Patrick Mahomes not getting any younger. And I'm not saying he's old. But again, he takes his shots here and there. We saw it in the playoffs where, he battled through that injury. But it'd be interesting to see if he can sustain it again for a full season, knowing what he has to throw to. There's not top wide receivers again that you sit back and go.
Look, I don't even think there's anybody really, a top-notch guy. I think, and we had talked about this earlier, you get a bunch of number 2s. I mean, Mahomes can make them better, right?
Yeah.
He can make them better. He's the top dog right now in the NFL.
And the big dog's here, by the way.
Okay. And the big dog.
Okay.
Right. So, I mean, he makes players better, and that's what, Brady did, and he's following, along in that same category now, right? But you can only do so much, right? And we talked about this, with the Patriots not giving Tom Brady weapons, he still manages to get there. But there were years where it wasn't as pretty.
Yeah.
And this could be one of those years for Kansas City where they just don't have enough weapons to do what they need to do. I mean, at some point, yards after the catch matter. Making people miss matter. Can these receivers do that? And I'm not sure that they're in a position that these guys can do that on a consistent basis.
Yeah, and then you sit back and you can say Andy Reid calls the plays offensively. Eric Bieniemy was a big part of that offense.
Right.
You take that factor out. Is Matt Nagy the answer? I don't know, but I would say this: he didn't do much for the offense for Chicago.
No.
And again, you sit back and say, okay, maybe some of those pieces that Eric Bieniemy, had with Kansas City's offense, they take a step back as well. It's an interesting team because, listen, talent-wise, you got the best quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
He can make a lot of guys better. You got the best tight end in the league today.
Yeah.
And I would say that those two combinations is a quality, percentage of winning most of your games. But the problem would be too defensively. Now, if you don't have your best defensive player,
right
now you're trying to do some things that you didn't normally have to do because you were told.
Who did they lose on their defense? Besides the holdout,
they lost Frank Clark, the defensive end. So again, another guy that was a pass rusher that created some havoc. And he went to Denver. So again, you talk about in the division.
And this is what I'm saying. So now you just refocus on the defense. You lost 2 defensive linemen that put a lot of pressure on the opposing team.
It changes.
Now you're not going to get those turnovers either.
And the sacks, the number 2 team in sacks. Now that changes that.
That changes a lot.
Yeah. And we're just throwing out the fact Orlando Brown Jr. is a top 5 tackle in the league. You lost it to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
You're probably going to be facing in a playoff game, and that's a big factor for them as well offensively on the line.
Absolutely.
Kenny, any key injuries, any rookies, Ron, you want to talk about?
Well, that's just it. It's like the rookies that they got aren't really going to be, the starters. I mean, they'll have a bunch of guys that could crack the lineup eventually, but right now, as it looks, you're going into the season without any of those guys taking those valuable spots, and that, like I said, that's not good enough. You should always have somebody that gets in there. You should always have somebody.
Kenny, how many wins?
They're not replacing those players with quality talent.
Yeah. Oh, I got them at 11, but I don't see them going to the Super Bowl.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about the Las Vegas Raiders, my friends. 6-11 last year. Obviously took a big step back. 3rd overall in the AFC West. Coached by Ron's good buddy there, Josh McDaniel, 6-11 in his first season. Mick Lombardi, second year as offensive coordinator, and Patrick Graham, second year as defensive coordinator.
We're talking about the Las Vegas Patriots, right?
Yes. 12th overall in offense, 352.5 yards per game. 11th passing at 231.4. 17th rushing at 121.1. 12th in overall points at 23.2. Tied for 9th in sacks allowed at 35. Third down conversion, 39.9%, which was 16th overall. Defensively, he's had some struggles. 28th overall, 365.6 yards per game. 29th against the pass, 242.9 yards allowed. 19th against the rush at 122.8. 26th in points allowed at 24.6. 30th in turnover differential at -8. 30th in sacks at 27. Key additions: Jacoby Myers, wide receiver from New England. Jimmy Garoppolo, quarterback from San Francisco. They did lose Darren Waller to the New York Giants and David Carr to the New Orleans Saints. Number 1 draft pick, Tyree Wilson, edge rusher, and then Michael Mayer, tight end in the 2nd round. Is this a bounce back year for the Raiders? Can Jimmy Garoppolo change their fortunes?
This is the most puzzling thing. This is his last shot, by the way, for Josh.
Yeah.
If he can't win with the talent that he's got on that field, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I mean, when you think about, okay, so all right, Garoppolo is Garoppolo, right? But he still wins 70% of his games.
That's the insight you get here at Sports Unfolded. Garoppolo is Garoppolo.
Well, because we always talk about him and how he doesn't have like that super talent.
You don't even want to talk about the backup? How important is Brian Hoyer going to be? Okay.
All right. So besides that,
I guarantee you Brian Hoyer's starting now. A couple of games.
Jacobs at running back.
Yeah.
Adams, Myers, Renfro. Like, that's a core.
Yeah.
Right? Then for craps and giggles instead of the other one.
We got you, buddy.
Crosby, Chandler Jones,
Yeah, they've got a lot of talent. Marcus Peters, defensive back. I think the problem is going to be is, again, can Josh McDaniels figure out how to coach?
That's the point.
And not a negative way, but I think the problem is
that's what I'm saying.
He wants to be Bill Belichick, be Josh McDaniels. You know what I mean? Like, don't think you have to outsmart everybody and make them think about. Look, you've got enough talent. If you put it on the field and you give them the right coaching, they're gonna win. They're gonna win. Jimmy Garoppolo, to your point, 70% of the time he wins his games. Josh Jacobs, one of the top running backs last season. I think he rushed for the most yards in the league. Devontae Adams, one of the top wide receivers in the league. Austin Hooper, not a bad tight end. Michael Mayer, they picked up as a rookie. Very good tight end. So, again, you've got all the talent there in place. Max Crosby, solid defensive rusher. So is Chandler Jones.
Right.
The issues is, can you be smart enough to say, I'm just going to let the talent do what it's got to do?
Yeah. And there's just lots of things. For instance, okay, if you have Crosby and Jones as your defensive ends.
Sounds like an old 70s group, by the way.
Right. Do you draft a defensive end?
Yeah, it doesn't make
first
sense.
round?
No, agreed.
For that matter, I have no problem going defense, right? But there were other players that they could have gotten in that spot, and it might have been more valuable. Maybe like Christian Gonzalez. Just saying.
Here we go.
I'm just
one good guy that Patriots got. Now, don't do that to me.
Look, I'm just saying.
I got you. I know.
Do.
Yeah, they had more opportunities. Listen to this stretch at the end of the season. Week 12, Kansas City. Week 14, Minnesota. Week 15, the Chargers, and then Week 16 at Kansas City. If they're in it, Week 11, weeks 12 through 16, they may be out of it real quick. But Kenny, what'd you have? I knew you had something up there, buddy.
Do you know the first 4 games they play?
I could look them up, but go ahead.
Ready for this?
Go.
At Broncos, at Bills, versus Steelers, at Chargers. 6 wins. That's all they're getting. Maybe 5.
Okay.
Their schedule is the hardest one in the league. They're done. I'm sorry.
They're done. I love the way you said that. They're done. That's it. Move on, people. Move on. Anything else with the Raiders, guys? Key injuries, some rookies you want to talk about before we move on to the next team?
I got them going 2-2 in those games. So
2-2? Oh, okay. All right. I got them 0-4. I had them 0-4.
Listen, they can win 8 games. Jimmy G.
Yeah.
He can win.
I have them winning 9.
Yes.
You got them winning 9?
I can see that.
I got them winning 6. I'll give them 6.
All right. Interesting team here. The Los Angeles Chargers, 10-7 last year, 2nd overall in the AFC West, 5th seed in the AFC. Obviously, they lost in that wild card game where they blew, a 28-point lead to Jacksonville. Coached by Brandon Staley, 19-16 overall. Kellen Moore, offensive coordinator now from Dallas. I like this pickup. The Bieniemy one with Washington. This, to me, you just made yourself probably a number 1 offense. Anyway, Derek Aisley is their defensive coordinator. He's in his 3rd year. They were 9th overall offensively to begin with. Offensively, 359.3 yards per game. 3rd in passing at 269.6. 30th in rushing, though, 89.6 yards per game. 13th in points per game at 23. 17th in sacks allowed at 39. 3rd down conversions, 43.6, which was 8th overall. 20th defensively, 346.1 yards allowed. 7th against the pass at 200.4. 28th against the rush at 145.8. Tied for 21st in points allowed at 22.6. Tied for 7th in turnover differential at +5. Tied for 14th in sacks with 40. Key additions, Eric Kendricks, linebacker from Minnesota. They did lose Drew Tranquill, linebacker to Kansas City. Number 1 draft pick, Quentin Johnston, wide receiver, and Tully Tuapoluda. I knew I was going to hack that one. Linebacker. DJU. Drop you. Hey, Ron. On Kick. Got some people on Kick here,
There
my
we
friend.
go. There we go. That's Josh.
All right. So
Welcome,
what do we got?
Josh.
What do we got going on with these Chargers, man? I love the Kellen Moore offensive coordinator pickup. I think this gives Justin Herbert a legitimate shot to be an MVP candidate.
Well, you also look at those 4 key guys on the offensive side of the board. Herbert, Eckler, Allen, and Williams. I think that is a fantastic group of talented players, and it's really never been the question. It's can they harness all of this and put it to use and actually come up big in spots, and and that seems to be much more difficult to teach than it is, to go out and throw and catch and run. So it's whether or not they cannot cave, to
health.
Yeah.
I think that's the only problem with this team, health. Mm-hmm. Mike Williams, injury prone. Austin Eckler's had some injuries.
And they have a Bosa.
Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
They have a Bosa. They do have a Bosa. Khalil Mack, he came over last year, again, injured.
J.C. Jackson,
Asante Samuel Jr. I mean, Derwin James Jr. is probably the best safety in the league.
Yeah.
They've got so much talent. They need to stay healthy. That's the first part. And then I think Kellen Moore lifts their offense to a point where instead of being 9th overall, they're in the top 5. That helps. But again, you think about blowing a 28-point lead in the playoffs, that goes to say your defense and some of your coaching decisions. And if they don't figure that out, guess what? They're in the same boat again this year.
The Atlanta Falcons.
Pretty much. 28-3, baby.
Yeah.
Never forget. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kenny, what do you got for wins with the Chargers here?
I got them at 9 wins. Like you said, if they can stay healthy, they can get those 9 wins, and they can maybe make some noise, maybe not. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Tough stretch. Week 6 and 7, Dallas at Kansas City, and then week 16 and 18, Buffalo and Kansas City. So again, if they're legitimate, they're gonna have to win some of those games. I think I would look right at week 6 in that Dallas matchup, because again, if you can start to show that you're a competitive team, and I think Kellen Moore is going to want to prove something to his old team to say, look, he's going to try to light them up, and you're going against a top-notch defense. If you can do that, you're gonna prove you turned the corner.
Yeah,
you're gonna prove you turned the corner. Let's talk about turning a corner, and that's the Denver Broncos. Can they turn a corner with their new pickup of head coach? So they were 5-12 last year, 4th overall in the AFC West. Sean Payton does come aboard. See what he can do. Joe Lombardi's their offensive coordinator, and Vance Joseph, their defensive coordinator. He's been with the team 3 years. Offensively, obviously, we know some of their struggles. 21st overall, 21th. It's been 3 hours in when you're, 21th. 21st overall in offense, 325 point yards per game, 19th overall. You know what? You want to read these stats, Kenny? Passing 211.3 yards per game passing, 113.8 yards rushing. That was 21st. 32nd in scoring. They were the worst scoring team in the league at 16.9 points per game. 32nd in sacks allowed at 63. 32nd in third down conversions at 29.1%. We say the problem was that offensive side of the ball. 7th overall defensively, 320 yards allowed. 12th against the pass at 210.2. 10th against the rush in 109.8 yards allowed. Tied for 13th in points allowed at 21.1. Tied for 16th in turnover differential at -1, and tied for 23rd in sacks at 36. They added Mike McGlinchey, the right tackle. I keep hacking his name too. San Francisco. Jarrett Stidham. Keep an eye on that from Vegas. And then Ben Powers, the guard from Baltimore. They did lose Draymond Jones, defensive end from Seattle. Second round, they picked up Marvin Mims Jr., the wide receiver. Can Russell Wilson turn this around, gentlemen? Are we going to see Denver maybe make some noise this year with Sean Payton?
No. You're gonna get a lot of the same. Okay. Did they improve their offensive line?
No, but I think some of that was more Russell Wilson holding on to the ball and not making
decisions. Right.
Where I think Peyton's offense will be more precise to get the ball out quicker and do some things. So that may help.
Yeah, and all those draft picks that they had.
Yep, they lost a lot of draft picks. They did pick up Frank Clark on the defensive side of the ball. That's a big pickup.
Mims is already penciled in to be one of their starting receivers. And it's
Yep, they got good wide receivers, Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy, but again, injuries there. They've been injured often. I like what they have on defense. They've got to figure out how to offensively to get it going. And I think maybe we've seen the last of Russell Wilson as a starting quarterback in the NFL after this season.
It could be over.
I think this might be it because he just didn't look right. And if they can't get it right with Sean Payton, that's going to be interesting. What do you got? What do you got them at wins with, Kenny? I'm sure you got them high.
I got them at 7. I'm sorry. If you see the schedule, if you see their schedule, I'm sorry. There is no way.
Yeah. Listen, week 6 at Kansas City, week 8 at Kansas City at home, and then week 10 Buffalo. So you talk that 4-week stretch there where they're just going to get probably beat up.
They got Kansas City twice. Not once, but twice.
Well, it's in the division.
Twice.
It's in the division. I hope so.
Yeah. Still, I mean, oh, geez.
What are we running here? You play your division opponents twice, Kenny. I'm just letting you know.
I know.
That's the point he's making. It's 2 losses there. It's
all
2
right.
losses against the Chargers.
Sure.
And frankly, I think Las Vegas is more talented than them as well, and they could possibly lose 2 to them.
Yeah.
No, listen, I think it all hinges on Russell Wilson, and I'm not. Listen, I think he had a solid career, but I think think about the Legion of Boom and that defense and what that meant to that offense. And you had Marshawn Lynch, who was one of the best running backs in the league at the time.
He hasn't been the same since the interception.
Yeah, it's hurt him. All right, gentlemen, who we got winning the division?
I hate to say it, but I got the Chiefs. I
hate that. I got Kansas City as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Kansas City all day. But the Chargers are going to make a run, and they're going to get in there.
Okay. I got them making the playoffs as well. All right, my friends. So that was the AFC West. Let's move on to the AFC South. We'll bring those teams up for you. And that's the Jacksonville Jaguars, Tennessee Titans, Indianapolis Colts, and the Houston Texans. We're going to bring those teams up for you. We're going to start off with bringing those teams up for you. I think our producer falling asleep at the wheel there. But let's talk about this division that's got a ton of changes in it. Mike Vrabel is the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. We'll talk about the Titans first. They were 7-10 last year, second in the AFC South. He is 50-34 as their head coach. Tim Kelly, their offensive coordinator, second year, and Shane Bowen, their defensive coordinator, 6th year with the team. 30th overall offensively, 296.8 yards per game. 30th passing at 171.4, 13th rushing 125.4, 28th overall in points at 17.5 points per game, tied for 27th in sacks at 49 allowed, third down conversions 36.5, which was 23rd. Defensively, 23rd overall, 351.6 yards per game given up, 32nd against the pass, worst against the pass in the league, 274.8. But number 1 against the rush, they only gave up 76.9 yards per game against the rush. Tied for 13th in points allowed at 21.1, 22nd in turnover differential at -3, tied for 18th in sacks at 39. Key additions were DeAndre Hopkins. And then
now I know who we're talking about. I couldn't tell what crap team we were talking about.
Oh,
yeah,
my goodness.
Me neither. I was like,
oh, my goodness. Tennessee Titans, gentlemen.
All right.
Taylor Lewan, the tackle, is a free agent. They did not re-sign him. And then Bud Dupree, linebacker, went to Atlanta. Okay. Key loss, draft picks, number 1 draft pick, Peter Skoronski, offensive lineman, and then Will Levis, quarterback in the 2nd round.
Yeah, keep your eyes open for that one.
So this is the question, though. Like, who's going to be their quarterback, and will that ultimately affect this team? Because Ryan Tannehill, we know he's on shaky ground. Malik Willis, picked up last year. Will Levis picked up this year. Is this going to be like a rotating quarterback situation that ultimately hurts this team?
No, it's going to be like the Price is Right wheel where you spin it and then whoever it lands on. Okay, it's your shot.
Like Klinko, and it's just got the name on the bottom wherever. Yes.
This is just terrible. Who's responsible for this?
I don't know. Listen, we never really bought into Tannehill to begin with, and I think ultimately that's what hurt this team. I think most teams are starting to figure out, listen, you put 8 in the box, you stop Derrick Henry, make his life difficult. Tannehill can't beat you. Picking up Hopkins may help, but again, how much is he still valuable as a wide receiver? Let's see, because in Arizona, you started to see the decline. I don't know. I don't know even how to judge this team, because defensively you think they should be better, but they're not. I'm so confused with Tennessee. It's bad because I like Vrabel. I think he's a good coach, but I don't think they have a solid GM that makes good decisions. And I think that's ultimately what's hurt this team. Did pick up Nick Folk, though. Big kicking move there.
Yeah, I mean, he's automatic 40 yards or less, I mean, that is something, because I guess they're thinking that they're going to have to kick a lot.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to be able to score touchdowns.
Yeah. Week 6, Baltimore. Week 11 at Jacksonville. Week 18 at Jacksonville. Listen, I think the division falls between the two of them. Yeah. But,
let's be honest. I mean, come on. Like, there's only one team that's going to vie for this division.
Yeah. Depends on what Tennessee, how they play. And we talk about good coaching. If Vrabel can coach this team up enough, I think they can possibly win the division. I still think Jacksonville's the cream of the crop here, but you can't tell me that Tennessee doesn't have at least enough talent to possibly win this division.
Tennessee doesn't know who their quarterback is. And if you don't know who your quarterback is, you're not going to have a good year.
All right, we'll see. We'll see, my friend. We'll see. How many wins, Kenny?
I got him winning 8 wins. It's AFC South or bust.
I don't even know what that means, but I'll take it. AFC South or bust. Where else can they go?
I don't even know what it means.
Anywhere? What other division you got going?
But it's prerogative.
Okay, it's prerogative.
It's
Gets the kids thinking.
It's good thinking.
All right, Kanye, easy there. All right. 7 wins. Yeah, listen, I think they're right around the same boat, right? 8, 9, 7, somewhere in there. I don't think Oh, boy. All right, let's talk about the Colts, gentlemen. 4-12-1 last year. Woo! 3rd in the AFC South. Shane Steichen, new head coach, former Philadelphia Eagles offensive coordinator. Jim Bob Cooter is their offensive coordinator. He is in his 4th year with the team. Gus Bradley, 2nd year with the team, defensive coordinator.
All I can think of is Cooter from Dukes of Hazzard. Yeah, going to be coaching this team.
27th overall offensively, 311.6 yards, 23rd in the passing game at 201.9, 23rd rushing, 109.8, tied for 30th in points at 17 points per game, 31st in sacks allowed, 60, 29th in third down conversion at 32.9. A little better defensively, 15th overall defensively, 334 yards per game, 209.9 yards against the pass, 124.1 yards against the rush, which was 21st, tied for 28th in points allowed at 25.1, 32nd in the turnover differential at -13, and then tied for 10th in sacks with 44 sacks as a team. Key addition, Gardner Minshew, quarterback from Philadelphia. They did lose Stephon Gilmore, the cornerback from Carolina, and Paris Campbell, the wide receiver, to the New York Giants. Number 1 draft pick, Anthony Richardson, quarterback, and then Juju Brents, cornerback in the 2nd round. They have already said they're starting the rookie, Anthony Richardson. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, it ought to be interesting, right?
I like it. Good job.
Yeah, well, I mean, you didn't have really anybody else, so.
Who was the kid that got drafted by the Raiders? That was absolutely horrible.
Which
Remember,
one?
he blew up. He was like 300 pounds. Oh my goodness. Go ahead. You guys keep talking about that. I got to look this
What,
up.
quarterback?
It was a quarterback.
DeMarcus Russell?
Yes.
No, yes.
Right? DeMarcus
Yes.
Russell. This kid somehow reminds me of him.
Yes.
I don't know why.
Yes.
Like, I feel like that's what's going to happen. Like, DeMarcus Russell came out and everybody was like, holy cow, this kid's going to be amazing. And he just completely just was horrible. And I don't know if they've got enough around him in Indianapolis. Jonathan Taylor, who knows if he's going to play? Your best receiver is Michael Pittman Jr. Other than that, they don't have anybody. No tight ends.
Yeah, but they drafted like 50 players, so somebody's got to pan out.
We had one of the worst offensive line. I don't know. I just think this kid's in trouble.
Yeah, it's nothing.
I just don't. And then you don't have Jonathan Taylor. Your first 3 games: Jacksonville, at Houston, and at Baltimore. That at Houston game is 2 rookies going at it, too. So Stroud and Richardson. So that's the only reason why it's
balls thrown all over the place.
All over the place.
Well, Forrest Richardson is going to have to be on his game.
Say Gump. I gotta say.
Forrest Richardson is going to have to be on his game.
Who the hell's Forrest Richardson?
Yeah.
Is that another draft pick that I missed?
That's going to be his new first name because he's going to have to run a lot.
Oh, run, Forrest, run. I got you. That was pretty good. I like what you did there. Listen, defensively, they're okay. Offensively, I think they're going to struggle. Yeah. And this kid honestly didn't play a lot in college. No. So you're looking at a guy that doesn't even. Hey, I just noticed the Sports Unfolded logo is not on the corner there. But anyway, I just sit back and I say, I don't know what they're throwing out there, but it's kind of interesting to see. Kenny, what do you got for wins? What do you got? 10, 11?
I got 5.
Oh,
I got him for 5. I got him for 5 wins this year.
5 wins. Ron, can you read it?
Who did they beat?
Houston?
Yeah.
It could be Houston.
It could be Houston.
Yeah, I have them like really bad anyway.
If you do 1 win, that's the third one.
They're going to take a game off of Houston. They're going to take a game off of Tennessee.
Okay, he's got 2. Okay.
And then, and then maybe somewhere else. I don't know.
2.5. Okay.
All right. At least he's got him at least a little better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 3-4 wins tops.
Yeah.
3-4 wins.
Maybe.
I agree with you. Listen, and then we got to see what Steichen. I mean, again, you think about the talent he had in Philly. You don't have the same talent. Can you muster up enough offense here to make a difference?
The question is he talented enough to steal a game?
Yeah, and we'll see. We'll see soon enough. Listen, I think week 2 against Houston is going to be an important matchup because for both of these coaches, it might be their first win.
Who's the Colt fan that used to come on all the time?
Oh, what's his name? I can't remember now.
I know.
Yeah, he used to come on all the time on Facebook. So let's talk about those Houston Texans. 3-13-1.
My God. 4th
overall in the AFC South. D'Amico Ryans takes over as the head coach. Bobby Slowick is their offensive coordinator at his first year, and Matt Burke his first year as defensive coordinator with the team. 31st overall offensively, 30th defensively. Let me just say they were at the bottom of the barrel almost every category. We're just going to leave it at that.
Are they going to improve?
I don't think 32nd in rushing. They gave up 170.2 yards rushing. I think they'll improve there. 3rd down conversion, 30.3. Picked up Case Keenum. So again, a decent backup. Shaq Mason, guard for Tampa Bay. I like that pickup. Brandon Cooks, though, big loss. Number 1 pick, CJ Stroud, quarterback. Will Anderson Jr., defensive end. I like that. Juice Scruggs at center. That just sounds like a center name. I like that name there. What are we looking for from the Texans here, gentlemen?
Professional players.
Damian Pierce, decent running back.
I mean,
Running back.
it's always, we talk about these teams. We go into the preview show every year, and it's the same routine. It is literally the same teams that we talk about stinking up the league year in, year out, all the time. This is no different. This Houston team is just abysmal. And they should actually be embarrassed that they're fielding this team. They really should.
True.
CJ Stroud, though, I mean, do you like the pick? Do you think that's going to make a difference? Can that start to rebuild his franchise?
It's not.
I guess.
It's not,
Dalton Schultz, tight end, decent.
no.
But see, it's like,
Robert Woods was good 3 years ago.
it's like you
3
take,
years ago, Kenny. 3
you
years.
draft players, right? You draft players. Then you draft others to be around that player.
But we like this. We like the draft class. We like the Will Anderson Jr. Remember they traded up. They got him.
Yes.
That was a good move.
It
That was
was.
a real good move.
Right.
It
So you
was.
build an offensive guy with Stroud. Yet now you got your defense. Listen, they were a couple years away, but do you say maybe they got some of the pieces now that they can build on?
Yeah, but are they going to? I look at it, it's not getting any better. And yes, we have to see how Stroud is. But this is the same team that just blew the last quarterback they got. You know what I'm saying? So they're constantly making the wrong choices on everything. And even though, we liked the draft, but the track record is always bad for them.
Yeah.
And they're really not a good franchise that handles players well either. It doesn't really handle business well.
Yeah,
And
listen.
it just nobody wants to play for them.
Yeah.
Here's another one. The Bill Belichick, Nick Caserio. He's like their general manager, trying to be Bill. Like they all try it, and instead of just being who you are, and it's not working.
And they are who we thought they were.
Yeah. Listen, first 3 games at Baltimore, Indianapolis, at Jacksonville. So if you're going to show anything, it's got to be that Indy game.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I listen, I think Baltimore probably going to win by 3-4 touchdowns to begin the season. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to see if they can build something, but I think they're still, to your point, a couple years away, Ron. What about Jacksonville here, gentlemen?
I do have them improving.
Oh, yeah. What win totals? I'm sorry.
5.
5 okay.
I also got 5 too.
Wow.
Derek Stingley Jr. has to stay healthy.
Yeah, right. There's a couple of guys there that, again, they can build around. It's just health always
You
matters.
got 3 rookies in there starting, offense. Well, 2 on offense, 1 on defense. So, I mean, let's see what happens. I mean, you have year 1 and year 2 players being part of it.
Yeah.
Let's see how they handle it now.
Jacksonville Jaguars, gentlemen. Last season, first overall in the AFC South, 9-8. 4th seed in the AFC. They lost to Kansas City in that second round. Doug Peterson, their head coach, 10-9 in his first year there. Press Taylor, their offensive coordinator, and Mike Caldwell, their defensive coordinator. A couple of key additions. Calvin Ridley, he comes back from suspension. Jawan Taylor, they lost the right tackle to Kansas City, and Marvin Jones Jr., the wide receiver, to Detroit. They drafted Antoine Harrison, the offensive tackle, and Brenton Strange, the tight end, from the in the draft in the second round. Listen, we're going to probably skip some of the numbers now to get through this a little quicker. But I will say this. If you look at Trevor Lawrence, the importance of him taking another step forward.
Yes.
That to me is the key for this team this year.
Yes.
Right? If he can improve even just a little bit, because again, we talked about bad coaching, everything that he had, now he has a legitimate coach. It seems like it's helped. They have talent. Calvin Ridley comes back from the suspension. Kristen Kirk, what a pickup he was last year in free agency. We kind of thought that was an overspend or a reach, and he proved to pay dividends.
Yeah.
They've got very good talent on the defensive side of the ball. Their key is, can they compete with some of those top teams? Kansas City's, the Buffaloes, the Cincinnati Bengals. Are they in that class yet? Trevor Lawrence makes a difference. No.
Yeah, I mean, he made tremendous gains last year, right? I mean, he looked like he was going to be a bust, and it could have been ugly if they didn't make that coaching change.
Yeah.
That is a franchise changing moment. It wasn't so much getting Lawrence, it was changing that coach. You got rid of a complete buffoon.
Yeah, Urban Meyer was nothing to. Yes, definitely wasn't a head coach.
And he would have destroyed Trevor Lawrence if you would have held on to him.
Yeah.
It was a defining moment, and I know we gave Peterson a little bit of a harsh, review for his coaching abilities, but what didn't change is his ability to coach a quarterback.
Yeah. He won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles. Not that I want to remember that, but he won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles. Nick Foles, who again isn't the greatest quarterback. Think about this too. We kept talking about some of those top teams with sacks.
Yeah,
they were 5th overall in sacks, only giving up 28. That shows Trevor Lawrence getting rid of the ball, knowing where to go, what he needs to do. So it might not just be your offensive line's blocking well. You're getting rid of the ball at the right times, so you're not taking loss. That to me shows that he's maturing, he's learning what we expected him to be as a number 1 pick.
Yeah.
Listen, he's the benefit of being in an easier division. That helps because that's 6 wins usually, or at least. Listen, we knew what Tom Brady did every year. All the 3 other teams stunk.
Yeah.
And that was 6 wins. We already chalked 6 wins. They were 6-0 before we looked at the rest of the schedule.
Right.
I'm starting to see that. Trevor Lawrence, look, you might give up 1 here or there. Maybe you're 5-1. But if you can continue to build that and you see the rest of this division still struggling, he may be able to build something for the next few years.
Yeah, the worst he's going to do is 5-1 in that division.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
What do you got for win totals?
For Jacksonville? I've got 12.
Wow.
Because of that division. I have them sweeping the division.
Okay. Wow. They got San Francisco in there, Buffalo, Kansas City.
Yep.
Okay.
I got him at 9. Cam Robinson's suspended for 4 weeks. So I don't know how it's going to play out. So I got him at 9.
Okay. All right. Who do we have winning the division?
Well, I have them sweeping the division, so that might tell you something.
So we're going to pretty much chalk that up as Jacksonville, Kenny? Is that a sweep?
Yeah.
Plain sweep on Jacksonville.
Yeah.
All right. I love it. I love the conversations. I don't know who's still live with us. If you are, continue to chime in. We're about to fall asleep, but we're going to keep going because we've got.
We're getting close for me to get fired up here.
AFC North, gentlemen. We're at the Cincinnati Bengals. We're going to bring up those 4 teams on the screen.
We are
real quick. Pittsburgh, Cleveland, the Ravens, and the Bengals. Again, they call this the black and blue division, and you can see why.
This is going to be an interesting one.
This is a fun one. Cincinnati last year, 12-4, first in the AFC North, 3rd overall seed in the AFC. They lost to the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. Zach Taylor's starting to become one of those coaches that you got to keep an eye on as a potential, Hall of Fame coach if he continues to build what he's building here in Cincinnati. 33-38-1 overall in his career. Brian Callahan, 5th year as offensive coordinator, and Lou Anarumo is in his 5th year as the defensive coordinator. Obviously, we know what their offensive, prowess is with Joe Burrow and all those talented players. They were 8th overall, 16th on defense. They did pick up Orlando Brown Jr. That's a big pickup on the offensive line to help keep Joe Burrow upright. But they did lose a lot of players here. Jesse Bates, the 3rd safety, went to Atlanta. Hayden Hurst, the tight end, that's a big loss for that offense. Went to Carolina. Von Bell, the safety, went to Carolina. Eli Apple, the cornerback, went to Miami. They did draft Jesse I apologize. Miles Murphy, defensive end in the first round. In the second round, DJ Turner, the second cornerback, and Jordan Battle, safety, in the third round. Can we see more out of the Cincinnati Bengals, gentlemen? I get Joe Burrow, obviously still nursing an injury. Jamar Chase, obviously considered one of the top wide receivers in the league. Very solid offensive line, very good defensively. But what do we expect to see from the Cincinnati Bengals?
I actually like this team a lot. First of all, I think they've really done a good job with building up that offensive line, right? I mean, they keep stealing good players from other teams, right?
Yeah.
Everybody seems to want to play there right now.
Yeah. Listen, if you look at their line, Orlando Brown Jr. at left tackle, Ted Karras at center, Alex Kappa at right guard, Jonah Williams at right tackle, Cordell Volson at left guard. They're all solid.
Yeah.
Nick Scott.
So now you're going to give Burrow time, right? Burrow can pick people apart, especially with time, because he's done it without having time, getting clobbered game after game, right? Yeah. But he still hangs in there. You know, I remember when we used to talk about Drew Bledsoe here in New England having happy feet, right? When he has those happy feet going, it makes you nervous. And after getting hit over and over, that's what he had. Joe Burrow does not get that. Joe Burrow stays in there, and he does what he has to do. And he does it better than almost all of the quarterbacks out there. There's never any panic. And there's constant, quality plays that he can make happen because he's just got that overall talent.
Yeah.
And there's very few players that match up to him.
I would say
Mahomes, right?
I would say this. The only question you got to have, the window might be closing because, again, you start to look at the money they got to pay out.
Right.
They've got to win and win soon because I think, look, Jamar Chase is going to want a top contract. They're already paying Joe Burrow a top contract. Like, you're going to start to see some of these guys where they want top dollars. Trey Hendrickson on the defensive side of the ball, he's a very good pass rusher. He's going to want more money. Like, it's all coming. So how they can, try to maximize it this year or next year, and that's it. That's what they've got.
Right.
But they've got some stretches in here, gentlemen, especially towards the end, the back half of the year. Week 8 at San Francisco, Week 9 Buffalo, Week 11 at Baltimore, Week 13 at Jacksonville, Week 17 at Kansas City. 4 out of the 5 of those games are on the road.
Yeah.
That's a tough stretch of games against quality playoff teams. That might be tough. Burrow, this injury, they're kind of keeping it on like he's questionable for Week 1. I think they do that just because, but I don't know. Kenny, you got an opinion on how many wins, what this team is here in the North?
I got them at 10 wins, and that's only because they have veteran corners. They got a lot of solid veteran corners. So I got them at 10 wins.
10 wins. Wow. I really thought you would be higher on that. Ron, any thoughts on their win total?
Look, I think they can attain like 13. But it is a tough division, so you got to think.
Yeah, they beat each other.
Maybe probably going to get 12.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Pittsburgh Steelers, gentlemen, 9-8, third overall in the AFC North last year. Mike Tomlin, obviously, we know he's been there forever. 171, 102-2. Matt Canada, their offensive coordinator, 4th year with the team, and Terrell Austin, his 5th year with the team as the defensive coordinator. 23rd offensively. As a team, you think about it, they had a lot of change. Ben Roethlisberger, the retirement, right? Them trying to figure that out. 16th defensively, so kind of middle of the pack. They did add Patrick Peterson, the cornerback from Minnesota. Did lose Cam Sutton, the cornerback, to Detroit. Devin Bush, the safety, to Seattle. And Terrell Edmonds, the safety, to Philadelphia. So some losses in the secondary there. They did pick up Broderick Jones, the tackle, in the first round. Joey Porter Jr. in the second round at cornerback. And then Akinu Benton.
Keanu, come on, how do you get that one wrong?
I don't know. I'm half asleep now. Second round defensive lineman. Kenny Pickett, starting quarterback. Do we like it? Do we think this is the right move?
I mean,
yeah, he's going to have to take some
steps. Would you pick it differently? Would you pick it differently?
No. Got one. Got him.
I finally
got one. You got one.
You just fenced me off of that.
Fence Pickett. Very good. That's very good. You know what else? There's another Kenny starting tonight, right there. The big dog. All right. So, again, listen, George Pickens, wide receiver, super talented. See a lot of highlight reels, right? Allen Robinson the second. I didn't even realize they picked him up. Again, could he bounce back? They've got some, Fairmouth, the tight end. I like a lot of what they have. They've got one of the top defensive guys in TJ Watt. Minka Fitzpatrick, again, one of the best safeties. Cameron Hayward. Again, they've got a lot of talent on this team. What do you think would hold them back then? Would it be Pickett and not being what they expect him to be?
I think injuries. I think if anything's going to be able to stop this team from improving, I think it's injuries. I think this team drafted incredibly well, and I think Tomlin is a good coach that can get the most out of his players as well. And like we said, top 5, right? I look at some of these guys, Porter. I think that was a great pick, pick, especially there.
I think during that draft show, I think we called his name at least 10 times. We're like, this is where he's going. This is where he's going. And they just got
that is a steal right there.
That was a steal.
They also had Benton, right? You put him on that defensive line. He's going to be starting. And if those two rookies can do any kind of damage, that is bonus. And I think this team could make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that. Listen, they were fighting for one last year. They barely, you know what I mean? Like they were one of those teams. Kenny, win totals. You and Kenny Pickett.
I got him at 9.
Kenny's picking it. I got you. 9. All right.
I got him at 10.
So they stay about the same. Yeah, roughly. I think I agree with you, gentlemen.
Yep.
I agree with you, gentlemen. All right, let's talk some Cleveland Browns. Again, another team that's trying to bounce back here, and we're looking at Kevin Stefanski as their head coach, 27 and 25 overall. Alex Van Pelt is their offensive coordinator, 4th year with the team, and Jim Schwartz, 4th year. The Schwartz be with you. He is their 4th year as their defensive coordinator. Elijah Moore, wide receiver, was an addition now from the New York Jets. They lost Tavon Bryan, defensive tackle to Indianapolis, and Jadeveon Clowney, defensive end, went to Baltimore. Cedric Tillman in the 3rd round, wide receiver. So, again, they didn't have any first or second round picks in the draft. That was due to Deshaun Watson in that deal. What do we need to see out of Deshaun Watson this year for the Cleveland Browns to consider at least the contract a win?
He has to be a Pro Bowler. Oh, wait, never mind. An All-Pro. Because we know nobody likes to go to the Pro Bowl. So.
Pro Bowl, yeah.
I think he's got to massage the season a little bit and just kind of So I will say this. So look, at the end of the day, you're going
to rub the fans the wrong way.
I see. I love it. You know what you might get though? Nick Chubb. So you get Nick Chubb, who's considered one of the. I do it. We've lost the show.
Is that because of the rub?
But listen, there's a lot of talent offensively. You got Chubb, you got Cooper, Elijah Moore, Njoku, the tight end. They've got so much talent offensively. Miles Garrett, one of the best defensive players in the league. Denzel Ward, one of the top cornerbacks.
Eric, where do you have them? Where do you have them on your?
If I had to, I got them 4th in this division.
Okay, I got them 4th in the division. Kenny, where do you have them?
4th in the division.
Okay, so what is the conversation?
Can Deshaun Watson bounce back? I guess that's the conversation.
Not trying to make them better than what they are.
Okay.
And that's for all the fans out there. Look, they haven't done anything. They haven't done anything. They're not going to do anything as long as these other 3 teams are better than them.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter.
I got you. I understand. All right.
Matter.
So you want to move on is what you're saying.
Still.
Yes.
And they had nobody. They drafted nobody. They didn't get a good draft. They had.
They traded them all. So they traded all the picks. They can't even get a draft pick.
Right.
All right. Let's talk about those Baltimore Ravens then. 10-7 last year, 2nd overall in the AFC North. They were the 6th seed.
Cards, Cleveland.
Coming right to you. They lost to Cincinnati in the wild card round. John Harbaugh is their head coach, 158 and 104 in his career. Todd Monken, a brand new offensive coordinator. He's supposed to bring some diversity to this offense now and try to change it up. Mike McDonald, 9th year as their defensive coach. They were tied for 9th overall defensively as a team, 16th offensively. Added Odell Beckham Jr. As a free agent, and then lost Calais Campbell, defensive end, to Atlanta, and Marcus Peters to Las Vegas. Picked up Zay Flowers, wide receiver, in the 1st round. So, again, another big pickup. As I started to write this team down, I started to look at Lamar Jackson legitimately has 3 solid wide receivers now. Again, we don't know what Beckham is. He hasn't played in, well over a year. But if Beckham can even be, 75% of what he was, Zay Flowers, very good pickup.
Yeah.
Rashad Bateman, good wide receiver. Mark Andrews, a top tight end.
Yeah.
They might be able to do what they said they were going to do, is maybe be more of a passing-minded offense and allow Lamar Jackson to just run when he needs to run and not as the focal point of the running game.
And look, this is again, we talk about this. This is a good team.
Yes.
This is a good team.
Yep.
Like, I like my chances if I've got this team. And this team could just as easily go to the Super Bowl as anybody else, because I think Jackson is a great quarterback. There's only one problem. Can he stay on the field?
Yeah.
Will he stay on the field?
You're 100% right. Ray hasn't finished the last 3 seasons.
Right. And that's a problem. And that is why I didn't send them to the playoffs. Because of that. And I have them failing down the stretch because I don't think Jackson's going to play at the end of the season.
So this stretch, week 15 through 18, at Jacksonville, at San Francisco, then Miami at home, and Pittsburgh at home. So, again, you're talking about teams that, again, playoff potential teams. It's going to be tough. Listen, the best kicker in the game. So if it's a close game, at least they've got it from that standpoint. Health's going to be the key here, because I think that's the only thing that holds them back every single year is Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
And they paid him a lot of money. So
he's a great quarterback. And
maybe he's got something to prove, though, with the contract now that he feels like, look, some of those injuries that maybe he took some time off because he didn't want to, you want to make sure he got paid. Maybe he changes his mind now. We'll see. I think they are very talented,
because I like him as a player, and I think from what what's out about him, there isn't anything negative.
Yeah, no, I love it. Kenny, how many wins?
I got him at 10 wins. Marlon Humphreys is out with a foot surgery. It's like you said, if he can pass. And they need that defense back. That's what they need. That they were known for defense. They need that defense back.
Yeah.
And if they can do that, they might have something.
All right.
Yeah.
So who's the division winner, gentlemen?
I got Cincinnati,
I have
and I have
Cincinnati as
Pittsburgh
well.
second.
Okay.
I got to go with the Ravens.
Going Baltimore. All right. All right. I love it.
That's what I like. Kenny does it on the fly.
Kenny's a beast. That's why he's the big dog. Because sometimes you just pet a dog, you go that night, and then he bite. They bite too. They can just. Let's talk this AFC East, gentlemen. Last division here.
This is a beast of a division. This is the division. This is the best division.
Now you're getting just delusional. Okay. But you got the Pats, the Buffalo Bills, the Miami Dolphins, the New York Jets. We are going to discuss all 4 teams and start off with the Buffalo Bills. 13-3 last year. Number 1 in the AFC East, second overall seed in the AFC. They lost to Cincinnati in the second round. Coached by Sean McDermott, 66-40 overall. Ken Dorsey's his second year as offensive coordinator, and they no longer have a defensive coordinator. Leslie Frazier actually decided he retired. Sean McDermott's going to take over for the defense. Second best offense overall in the league last year. Number 1 in third down conversions, 50.3%. Pretty impressive. 6th in defense. So you think about it, they're pretty good all the way around the board. Connor McGovern, the guard from the Jets, was a pickup, and Damian Harris, running back from New England. They did lose Tremaine Edmonds, the linebacker from Chicago, and Devin Singletary to the Houston Texans. Dalton Kincaid, tight end, their first-round pick, and Osiris Terrence, a guard. I guess question is here, gentlemen, is this finally the year Buffalo Bills get over the hump?
I don't think so. I don't know what it is. It always seems like they're missing something, right? I haven't put my finger on it, but there's just.
Yeah, listen, like their secondary is super talented.
Missing.
They've got probably one of the best secondaries. Tre'Davious White, Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, all solid. Now Von Miller back healthy. Matt Milano, you say it's not the defense. You got Josh Allen offensively, Stephon Diggs, Dawson Knox, who's been pretty good. They pick up a tight end in the first round, Kincaid, who we feel is going to be pretty good. They've got a solid offensive line. They've got a good coach. I don't know. I just don't know. Every year they seem to get in the playoffs and make some kind of mistake.
Yeah.
And
I'm starting to wonder if it's just the franchise unlucky. I mean, could it be just that?
Like, listen, the Cleveland Browns, to your point, we just talked about. No matter what they do, they lose.
Yeah,
and you might say
lose.
But like, Buffalo I think,
is a good team.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, is that like they've just cursed in the playoffs? Like they just have that curse. Yeah. You lose 4 straight Super Bowls. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like it's just there. It's never going away. Like it just seems like
seems like there's always one team that's just better.
Yeah. And it's weird because you always look at it and say that you think about the fact that they honestly probably had more talent than some of the teams that beat them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, listen, tough stretch again at the end of the year at Cincinnati, at Philadelphia, at Kansas City, and Dallas. That's all within like a 6-week stretch.
And on the road for
and
3 of those.
Yeah, 3 to 4 on the road. So it's going to be tough. How many wins, Ken?
10.
10 wins. Wow.
10 wins. I give him 10.
You're really going low, man. On everybody.
Give him 10.
10's like your max, I think.
Yeah, it's the max.
He's got everybody at 10 wins.
No, I got 11. I can't remember.
I think Detroit.
Yeah.
He said, yeah. All right. How about this, gentlemen?
Frankly, a lot of it is going to depend on that rookie linebacker, right? Williams?
Yeah.
I mean, that's where, a lot is going to depend on him. I know they're not going to try to put pressure on him, right, to be the guy, because you still have Milano, right? But if he plays, even half as good as Milano, I mean, you got to think that they have something there, right? You would have to think that they have that element that A lot of teams don't have. A lot of teams don't have those two great linebackers. Now, if they have two of them, now you can start doing things like you can cover those tight ends. You can rush. Stop the run. Like you can do a lot of things when you have multiple linebackers that can get in on any play.
Yeah, create havoc, make playoffs, turnovers. Is that right in the playoffs?
That they need. I
might
think
be.
that might be the element that intangible.
Yeah.
Create havoc.
Yeah. All right, you boys ready? We are going to talk some New England Patriots. Coached by Bill Belichick. So they were 8-9 last year, third in the AFC East. Mike Jones. 292 and 120 as a head coach.
Wait, why did you skip over Miami?
We're going there. We got them. Calm down. They're on the list, buddy.
You go alphabetical order the whole way until now?
No, it's not in alphabetical order. Bill O'Brien is their offensive head coach. He is on their sixth season, obviously returning back to the Patriots. No defensive coordinator. I know that's a little surprising for you. 26th overall offensively last year, so I think they can improve there. 8th defensively. They did add Mike Gesicki, tight end from Miami, and Juju Smith-Schuster, wide receiver from Kansas City. Losses were Jacoby Myers. He went to Vegas. Devin McCourty retired, and then Damian Harris went to Buffalo. Number 1 draft pick, Christian Gonzalez, cornerback, and then Keon White, defensive end. He was their second-round pick. So let me ask you this, gentlemen. Mac Jones, this do or die this season?
Yeah.
For Mac Jones, no. Maybe with the Patriots, but I think he'll play somewhere else if he doesn't play for the Patriots.
Yeah, I could see him getting picked up, but I'm saying, is this it?
Yeah.
Like, is this it in New England? Like, this is the year. Like, if you can't figure it out this year.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because, I mean, he hasn't even gotten a fair shake, to be honest with you. He hasn't gotten a fair shake. Like, what they did to him last season was just inexcusable.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so I think, look, we sit back and we say, oh, they don't have a lot of talent. But then you got Ramondre Stevenson, who's considered a very good back. Yeah. Now you pick up Ezekiel Elliott as your backup. Juju Smith-Schuster is kind of a wash. Devontae Parker. Kendrick Bourne, I think, is going to have a bounce back year. I don't think he's not in the doghouse. He's actually going to be on the field. That'll be interesting. Hunter Henry needs to bounce back as well. Mike Gesicki may be a guy that we haven't seen him in the preseason. Maybe we'll see if he's a quality tight end for them. I like what they have defensively. I like the addition of Christian Gonzalez.
Me too.
They think they have an extremely good secondary. They're going to do some things defensively.
Gonzalez, Peppers, Duggar, Jones. They have some talent there.
Adrian Phillips, like guys that we're not even like. They're so talented on the DBs. Matt Judon scares me a little bit now that he's got the contract. Does he play as hard? I don't know. I always question that with certain guys. But look, the key for this team, honestly, is going to be, can Bill Belichick maybe change a little bit? Like, think about, he's so regimented in what he does for so many years. And this is a team finally that is not like any other team he's had. There's so many questions in so many areas with Mac Jones, with the wide receiver core, with some of the offensive line.
Yeah, which they took another hit with Reef going on the IR.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you got to be prepared. I don't know how they can't sign players like these other teams are doing. It's just the whole Hopkins thing, right? I mean, they could have had him. If you have Hopkins on this squad, then you're a contender.
Yeah, if you got Zeke and Hopkins,
Why can't we just open up a little bit? You know what I'm saying? Like,
and I don't think we'll ever get the answer. We don't know if it's Kraft. We don't know if it's Belichick, and it's
Right.
going to continue.
well, I mean, to be honest, I feel like everybody knows what it was. It's the same thing. Like when you're talking like Brady, taking less so that way they can spend more on other players, and then they don't spend it.
Yeah.
That gets tiresome after a while.
All right.
Why can't they spend it?
2 rookie kickers concerned.
Yes, very
Right?
concerned.
That's
But
concerning.
I mean, really, when you think about it, the punter last season stunk.
We know how much you love the punting.
But if a guy does not perform in the preseason, why are you letting go the guy that was automatic?
Yeah, I don't understand the Nick Foles thing. But again, you draft a kid in the 4th round, you're pretty much locked into him at this point. Any key injuries, Kenny?
Not this far. You know what I think the key is? I think the key is letting Bill O'Brien do his job. Let the man do his job.
Do your job. Very good.
Yeah.
Let the man do his job. He loves play action. He loves play actions. He loves to disguise. He loves the wildcat. Let the man do his job. Don't trump over him because he came here to do a job.
Yeah,
I don't want to see Wildcat though.
I will say this:
I would.
first 4 weeks.
Not with Mac Jones. I don't want to see Wildcat. Jones.
So, can I ask you guys weeks 1 through 4? Philadelphia, Miami, at the New York Jets, at the Dallas Cowboys.
Woo.
1 win? Can they sneak one in?
Let me get my.
Don't do
How many
it.
wins
Don't
do you
it.
have them? Put it that way. Where we at for win totals with the
I
New
have
England
them at
Patriots?
10.
10 wins. The New England
You got him
Patriots.
at 10?
Yes, I do.
Oh my goodness, Lord have mercy! I got him at 7.
So, all right. So I have them losing to Philadelphia.
I got this. Ron wants Bill Belichick out so bad. He's like, if they get 10 wins both this year and next year, he gets the record and he's gone. So Ron's just won 10. Please.
want
He's
him
praying.
Yes,
Please, I want 10 wins.
Yes.
I get 10 wins. He gets the next year 10 wins. We're done. We don't have to deal with him anymore. Okay, I got you.
I have them losing to Philly. I have them beating Miami in New England. I have them losing to the Jets at New York. And I have them losing to Dallas. So I have them starting 1 and 3.
And then they go on a tear.
Mm.
I love it.
Okay.
All right. Hey, listen, we'll see what happens.
Look, okay, so it's about, different things. The tight ends, right? You got to hope, and this is all, speculation, right?
But this is the problem right now with New England Patriots. Everything's a hope.
Right.
Yeah.
You used to be able to go into a season and say, look, this is a lock. We know this, and this. We just need this guy or this guy to step up.
Exactly.
Now it's like I need like 10 guys to step up. I need Christian Gonzalez to be Ty Law, which isn't going to happen, right?
Yeah.
I need Mike Gesicki to be the next coming of Gronkowski. Probably not going to happen. Ezekiel to turn into Corey Dillon. And all of a sudden rehashes like this. There's too many what ifs with this team.
No, but there isn't that many. One of them is the tight end Gesicki. He's got to be better than he was for Miami last year, but he's capable of doing that. Okay, and if he's capable of doing that, that's going to open up Hunter Henry more because they were doubling him, and there's nothing you can do about it because Jonnu was just absolutely garbage.
Jonnu Smith's your guy. Stop it.
No. Now,
when we signed him, you were all pumped.
Is the receivers, right? They need to shake their booty a little bit.
Oh, you see what he did there? I get it. Yeah, LSU, yes. Keyshawn Booty.
If he can be that guy.
Demario Douglas. Watch that. Watch him.
And that was the other one I was going to mention.
That is the guy.
Yep.
That is finally might get us our slot receiver again.
Well, I think he's going to be fine. but it's Booty that they need to get. If they can score on that, then you can talk in some receivers, which
So you want him to score with Booty?
yes.
Okay.
Mm.
All right. That was 2. I get a third, and then we're just going to shut the show down.
Okay.
Let's talk about some Miami Dolphins. 9-8, second overall in the AFC East, 7th seed in the AFC. They lost to the Buffalo Bills in that wild card matchup that, just turned it. Mike McDaniel smoking, vaping on the sidelines. Frank Smith and Vic Fangio takes over on defense. Their defense was one of their down areas last year, and I think that's going to be an improvement now. 6th offensively, 18th defensively. They added Jalen Ramsey. Obviously, we know he's out with an injury. Mike White, and then Ron, I had to put this in there. Punter, Jake Bailey. Now a Miami Dolphin. I know how excited you're.
I'm loving that one.
Key losses: Teddy Bridgewater
one.
and Landon Roberts. He went over to Pittsburgh. 2nd round, they drafted Cam Smith, the cornerback.
Yeah.
Dolphins. Do we say it's all on Tua?
It's all on Tua.
Right? Stay healthy.
And look, I'm sorry, but you got to take advantage of the kicking game now. Anybody in that division has to take care of the ball when they're punting and kicking.
You leave Jake Bailey alone.
No, I'm sorry. How many games did he lose last year?
Oh my goodness!
How many?
He didn't play for like the last 6 weeks, so we got to give him that.
Yeah, but he lost like 3 of them at the beginning.
I will say this: they are super talented, but they are talking the possibility of picking up Jonathan Taylor from the Colts. That to me puts them over the top in this division. A healthy Tua,
their
you get Jonathan Taylor. That changes all because Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, 2 best wide receivers, like 1-2 in the league. You got the best left tackle in Armstead, or one of the best. And defensively, look, they've got enough talent. I think, honestly, their downfall is McDaniel. I don't know how good of a coach he is. I think he's a 500 coach. And his record's 9-9. I'm just saying, I don't know if he's going to be. He's another one of those where we talk about he's got all the talent, but he can't win.
I mean, I think to me, everything hinges on Tua being able to stay healthy. Yeah. And I don't think he can.
No. Agreed.
I don't think he can. I think he has some serious concussion issues. And I think Miami Dolphins broke rules last year,
and it
it
probably ruined him for the rest of his career.
Yeah, no doubt.
Kenny, win total.
I got him at 8, and I want to have him at 10, but there's just way too many injuries. Ramsey out until December. Armstead, Waddling, not 100% during the preseason. Tua, like you said, with the concussion.
Yeah.
It's just way too many injuries. I got him at 8. They're not gonna...
I see that. Yeah. All right, gentlemen. Last team we're going to cover in the AFC East, and the last team we're going to cover overall before we make all our picks here. New York Jets, probably the most interesting team. Robert Saleh, the head coach, 11-23 overall. They were 7-10 last year, 4th in the AFC East. Nathaniel Hackett takes over as the offensive coordinator. Jeff Ulbrich remains as the defensive coordinator. Obviously, we know the big additions there: Aaron Rodgers, Randall Cobb, Alan Lazard, all from Green Bay. They did lose, nothing crazy. Mike White again. So Will McDonald, the 4th, picked up in the draft at defensive end, and Joe Tipman, center in the 2nd round. Do we think Aaron Rodgers is the final to break, since whatever, Joe Namath and the guarantee?
No. I don't think so. I mean, he had better teams
in Green Bay
with Green Bay and couldn't get the job done.
I mean, they're very good defensively. I will ask you this though: what was their record last year? 8-9. So you bring over Aaron Rodgers, you bring over his 2 wide receivers. Do we expect them to be any better than that 8 and 9? I mean, Garrett Wilson's a beast. I think that kid's going to be the next big wide receiver star. And getting Aaron Rodgers definitely helps him. But you also got to remember, Aaron Rodgers is 40 years old. We're seeing a difference in Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. Again, they got a tough stretch at the beginning of the season. Buffalo, at Dallas, Kansas City, Philadelphia. That's all in their first 6 weeks.
See, and also when you think about it, where were they in takeaways? You know what I'm saying? They didn't get a lot of takeaways. If I'm not mistaken, it was like 26th, 27th in the league.
Turnover differential there, 28th, -7 last year.
Right. So it wasn't that good. Now, defensively, they're good, but you still have to get takeaways in order to be a championship caliber team. You know, because just holding people to 3 points isn't going to win you the championships, you know, against some of those elite teams. You know, you're going to struggle because, maybe you can stop, you know, Mac Jones and the Patriots offense. But are you going to be able to stop, you know, Joe Burrow? Are you going to be able to stop Patrick Mahomes? Are you going to be able to stop Allen?
And I will say this, Nathaniel Hackett has a lot to prove because look what he did to Denver. And now you're going to sit back and say, okay, well, he's got it all figured out because he's got Aaron Rodgers back in New York. I mean, he couldn't call an offensive game with Denver. He better figure it out again because, you know, I don't know. Kenny, how many wins?
I hope he can hack it.
Hey, he's got one. I got one too. Oh my God!
What?
You chopped.
I'm not going to disrespect Aaron Rodgers because he is Aaron Rodgers. Okay. All right. I got him at 9 wins. They'll make the playoffs via win the division or wild card.
Okay. All right. Gentlemen, are we ready to make some picks?
Yeah.
All right. Where do you want to start? AFC or NFC?
NFC.
NFC. Your top 4 winning the division. Say I got San Francisco, Philadelphia, Minnesota, Carolina. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I've got Philadelphia, San Francisco, Chicago, and Tampa Bay.
Okay.
I got Panthers, 49ers, Lions, and Eagles.
Panthers as the 1 seed? Who's your 1 seed?
You're right. Yeah.
Okay. Wild cards. I got Dallas, the Giants, and Detroit.
I have Dallas, Minnesota, LA Rams / Seattle.
Okay.
It's depending on Cooper Kupp.
I gotcha. Kenny, wild cards?
Yeah, skip me.
All right. So I got the 2-7 matchup, Philly defeating Detroit. I got the Giants defeating Minnesota. And I got Dallas defeating Carolina.
I don't have anything until I find my sheet with
Do you want me to move on to my NFC?
No.
Divisional round, I could do that.
Oh, here it is. All right. So I have San Francisco defeating Minnesota. I have Dallas defeating Chicago. And I have the Rams defeating Tampa Bay.
Okay. /Seattle.
Seattle.
So then in my divisional, I have San Francisco defeating Dallas. Philadelphia defeating the Giants.
How you doing over there, Kenny?
I think Kenny's just going to give us who's going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
okay.
That's what I'm going to do.
So I have San Francisco beating the Rams, and I have Philadelphia beating Dallas.
Okay, so that leaves you with
Philly, San Francisco.
I have Philly, San Francisco as my final. I have
Interesting.
Philly defeating San Francisco to go to the Super Bowl.
I do as well.
All right. So we both have Philly in the Super Bowl again, back to back.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Which would not have happened, right?
Which would not have happened. No, they can get back. They never won.
Oh, they just never won. Okay.
Never won one.
All right.
Kenny, who do you got going
Super
to the
Bowl?
Super Bowl in the NFC?
Eagles.
Eagles. I think you just picking who we picked, but okay.
No,
We'll give you that. You got Eagles? All right. AFC. My top 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cincinnati, the 1 seed. Kansas City, Buffalo, Jacksonville.
I have Kansas City, Cincinnati, Buffalo, Jacksonville.
Okay. Kenny, your division winners?
Kansas City,
Yeah.
Jaguars, Bills, and Ravens.
Okay. All right. I've got wild cards, the Chargers, the Ravens, the New York Jets.
All right, wild cards. I have the Jets, the Chargers, and because of that game against Pittsburgh, the New England Patriots.
Wow. Got the Pats making the playoffs.
Wow.
I thought I was going to have Pittsburgh in there, but
Wow.
with their records came down to the same, and then I'm like looking back, and I had to re-see where they won. And with the Patriots beating Pittsburgh, that was the one that sent them to the playoffs.
All right. I got in the wild card round, Kansas City defeating the Jets, Buffalo defeating Baltimore, rematch, revenge game, the Chargers defeat Jacksonville.
All right. I have Cincinnati beating the Patriots. I have Buffalo beating the Chargers. And I have the Jets beating Jacksonville.
Okay. We still might have the same Super Bowl. This is crazy. In the AFC divisional, I have Cincinnati defeating the Chargers. I have Kansas City defeating Buffalo.
All right. I have Kansas City beating the Jets. And I have Cincinnati beating Buffalo.
This is not staged, people. This is not staged.
Wow.
All we got to do, Ron, is get this AFC championship game right, and then we have the same Super Bowl. I have Cincinnati defeating the Kansas City Chiefs.
I do too.
What is the odds of this? Cincinnati
I do too.
versus Philadelphia in the Super Bowl. Kenny, who is your AFC representative?
The Ravens.
He's got Baltimore. Lamar coming through. Okay. All right, gentlemen. We are now going to tell the fans out there who is going to be the NFL champion this season. Kenny, who do you got?
I got the Baltimore Ravens winning it all this year.
Got the Ravens defeating the Eagles.
Yep.
Ron, Cincinnati defeating Philly. Eric, Cincinnati defeating Philly. Are you kidding, Ron? Sports unfolded the same, baby. What are the odds of that? We have the same exact picks.
Wow.
Cincinnati, your Super Bowl champions. Kenny's got the Baltimore Ravens. What a great show, gentlemen, tonight. We had to rush through the back end of it. I do apologize, but what a great show. Had some fun. I want to thank everybody that joined us live. I want to thank you two for taking time today to give me your football insight. We are on every Friday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Rhode Island Broadcasting. So follow us, share us, like us. All our social media platforms are there. You can follow us on all our social media platforms as well. I will be this week, next week, 2 weeks from now, I'd be replaced for 1 week. I will not be on Sports Unfolded. We might have the big dog filling in for me next, 2 Fridays from now. All right, big dog. So, gentlemen, Thank you.
Oh, it's more work for me. Damn
Thank
it.
you, gentlemen. I want to thank you again. I want to thank all the fans out there that are going to watch.
Hey, look, so Eric, we talk about how our picks were the same today,
Yeah.
but when you look at what we've done with all the sports, I mean, we've picked a lot of things correctly. Somebody has always picked either like the teams that were going to be there. We do it a lot in sports. I mean, just this past hockey season, we didn't do very well, but everything else we kind of nailed.
Yeah, we've been pretty good.
So,
So again, check us out every Friday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Rhode Island Broadcasting. We are live again, fan interactive. We cover all the top sports. We got NBA preview show coming up soon, NHL preview show coming up. So we've got a lot going on with the seasons as well. College football just kicked off, so we'll be talking some college football. But if we get a chance to talk about a sport, we will do it. I will say that every single show, all we ever ask for is peace on earth.
Yeah, and it'll probably be New Orleans versus somebody like, I don't know, Cleveland.
Yes.
Have a good night, everybody.